The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 133. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How you doing?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Happy Mother's Day.
Brian Manjoma.
I'm very mixed on the Alien Covenant.
Uh-oh. Brett Murdoch.
Heresy. Burn him. He's a witch.
And Adam Vale.
Hey, what's up?
Mr. Luchador himself, man. So, Adam, you're going to give us a rant by the end of the show, man? You ready?
Yeah, I'll give you something. It's something.
Yeah, it's been percolating. All right, before we start, a couple of things here. Let me scroll up my show notes. Okay, so first of all, I want to give a big shout out to our friend Will Greenwald, who joined us for a very special debate last night between him and Chris. Now, for you guys who don't know, these two dudes have been going at it on Twitter for like months now, ever since this fucking console was announced, the Nintendo Switch, and it got kind of heated. And then literally within like the first 20 minutes, these guys diffused the situation, and they kind of, even if they didn't agree, they kind of like understood where each other one was coming from, proving once again that social media is fucking up communication. Look how quickly they resolve that shit by just talking, you know? But yeah, we got a lot of props for that one. People like were amazed that like you could have a civil debate like that on YouTube. How is that possible? You know, like, come on, man, this shit ain't that hard, you know? It's crazy. So yeah, Chris,
I think tempers flare, but at the end of the day, people are reasonable. Like, I think people like, I have to remind people like, Chris and I get into some heated debates, but then we go play Dark Souls. So we
That's
cool.
right. Yeah, exactly. Like I was with you guys last night, you know, you guys were playing Dark Souls. I was just chilling in the cut, you know, but exactly. But the thing is, like, what was weirding me out about this specific situation was like, okay, granted, I don't know Will as well as I know Chris, but he is a very level-headed guy. He's not very prone to emotion. Chris is the same way. So I'm like, these guys are getting very heated when in real life, they're not like that, you know? So they talked and it was cool. And they got along together last year. So, but you know, on Twitter, things get lost in translation. But yeah, Chris, just quick thoughts on what you thought of that debate from last night.
You know, it was good. Yeah, you know, things kind of escalated on Twitter too far. And, you know, we said some things that we regretted. So I'm glad we got to talk, you know, and we came to some concessions and some agreements. So, you know, it was a good debate overall.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I do want to highlight this comment here. This is a good one. This is from, and I'm sorry if I get your name wrong, dude. Elidio Soares. He goes about the debate. He goes, the most awesome debate held by professionals in the gaming business I have ever heard. Thank you for all you guys are doing. Very much appreciated and very enjoyable to listen to. I'm a longtime Dutch listener. Fucking amazing, man.
Oh,
that's
sweet.
what I'm talking about. See, that's what I like about being on YouTube too. Like a lot of the guys that are just in the cut, they come out sometimes just to say hi, you know. So pretty good stuff, man. So I enjoyed that very much. But speaking about the Nintendo Switch, one of our listeners, viewers, 50 Cent, not very happy with us. So I'm, you know, we're not gonna get into it right here. You know, he said some stuff in the comments. Chris responded. I responded too. So basically, I'm just going to say this, dude, you know, even though you said you're not going to listen to the show anymore, if you're listening, get on Throwdown. Let's have this debate for real. Because I know you said you don't want to, you know, do walls of text. Okay, get on the show and we'll debate. That's what this is called Throwdown for a reason, man. You know, so, you know, if you think we're full of shit, you think we're a bunch of Nintendo Switch haters, get on the show and we could debate, man. You know, the door is open, you know.
Man, I don't understand like how on one hand everyone's like, oh, Brett drank the Kool-Aid. On the other hand, everyone's on the show is a Nintendo Switch hater.
I don't fucking dude. It's funny you bring that up, Brett, because I was just talking to Chris about this. So I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. How do you have a guy, you Brett specifically, holding that Nintendo flag now, and we're haters? Like, okay, this is my perspective, right? The only real Nintendo Switch hater in here is Adam. I'm just being honest, you know, and he's going to talk about that later on. Carlos is kind of annoyed by it. Manny's indifferent. Chris doesn't really care, but he's giving his stats. I'm a little annoyed by it, but I'm mostly indifferent to it. And Brett loves it. Brian doesn't give a fuck about it either. So I don't understand where the hate is coming from. Actually, I'm very happy with the Switch now because of a particular game I can't talk about. It has to do with fighting Streets Ultra, you know, but
Asphalt Warrior.
Yeah, for the most part, like, yeah, I'm still annoyed the fucking dock doesn't have any extra computing power. I don't hate the Switch. Listen, I did buy it for my job, but if I hated it, I would have been like, fuck that. I'm not buying that shit. Not in my home. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my job were to tell me, hey, buy this iPad to get a review, I'm not having no fucking iPads in my home. That shit out of here. You know?
You're like, not in the house of Matumbo.
Yeah, Apple, I hate. Nintendo, I don't hate. It just piss me off sometimes. So I don't understand what this Nintendo hate thing, you know. Basically, I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but Chris and I were discussing this. Basically, when you go against what somebody believes, what they feel, right? They see it as a personal attack. It's a psychological thing. Actually, Chris, can you quickly break that down, the psychology behind that shit? You explained it very well yesterday, but just like truncate it a little bit.
Yeah, the basics of confirmation bias and its growth is that your thinking moves from a single intellectual and rational thought to a social mindset. So you start to seek out opinions and anything that supports your worldview instead of breaking the cognitive dissonance that you have, that the facts don't match your thoughts, and then change your worldview. Instead, you lock that out, and then as that progresses, it grows larger and larger until it becomes a huge problem. Then you're not living in objective reality anymore, and anything that conflicts with that, your new way of thinking, can affect you emotionally, you know? So Tony and I were talking yesterday about things like attitude polarization and stuff like that, all that psychological stuff. But the main thing is, like, confirmation bias is kind of growing in communities, and it seems like it, you know, especially not just video games, like sports and everything. It's growing, and there's this huge shift of people who have a certain mindset about a certain thing, and they cannot get out of it. If any facts contradict their mindset, they you know, instead of adjusting their mindset, they actually attack those facts.
They just can't understand why you don't like. You know, like,
yeah, again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but I don't understand how we got to this point. Because, like, for example, if you don't agree with something I said, I'm like, okay, fine. I don't agree with you. We move on. I really couldn't care less. Like, if you come up to me and tell me Terminator 2 is the worst movie of all time, which is my favorite movie, okay, you feel that way, whatever. I don't care. You know, I don't give a fuck. But it seems like a lot of people.
Now you'll go and you'll be like, you're an asshole.
No, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna think they're an idiot, but I'm not gonna, like, you know, lose sleep over it, you know, and or go on like Twitter and like rant about it. This guy, he triggered me. He didn't like Terminator. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man, that bullshit. You know, but, yeah, go ahead.
There's a counterpoint that I've noticed, like, and this is a weird thing because I walked into this whole ordeal, not like, I walked into a kerfuffle and I came out somehow like holding a Nintendo flag. Like, I really enjoy my Switch, but I don't necessarily know how I got here. And one thing that I found very startling is everybody I tell I'm enjoying my Switch, and I don't even frame it like, oh my God, this is God's gift of gaming. It's the best thing ever. I'm just, you know, interesting things like, you know, I'm noticing that I'm playing on the go more. I'm noticing that I'm getting in short little burst gaming sessions where I wasn't before. Just little things. People have this weird knee-jerk reaction to try and piss in my lemonade for some reason. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, I can't talk about I'm really enjoying my Switch without somebody telling me why I'm dumb for enjoying my Switch and why Nintendo is going to fail as a company and how I'm wasting my money and enjoy playing no games. And just it seems like other people's confirmation bias spills over into a need to talk shit on this particular console, and I'm not really sure why.
What reason are they giving you when they tell you that you wasted your money and it's not good.
Just that, and Nintendo's going to do the same crap that they've always done. There's, artificial scarcity that's going on right now, and they're just pulling the same stunts, and it's going to be the same thing that the Wii U is, and it's just going to be a failure, and there's not going to be any games, and have fun not playing games while I'm enjoying my games, and all this other stuff. To which I'm like, whoa, like first of all, like there's already a fairly decent library on it.
Well, it's a toy.
Not fairly decent. And it's
not really a console. It's a toy.
Yeah, I still maintain it's a handheld. It's a handheld that links up to the TV, and maybe that's putting too fine a hat on it for most people, but that's exactly that's technically what a hybrid console is. And like
a console would be that it's something that matches other consoles.
No, but see, and here's a good example. Like, why do you feel the need to fight me on this?
No, I'm not.
Why does everybody feel the need to fight me on this?
It's not to fight you. It's that it's how you're seeing this, because it's like Tiger Direct, a Tiger Direct toy, or a Leapfrog or whatever. More like Leapfrog. Leapfrog has its own games and it's its own world, and that's the thing with this device itself, the Switch. I mean, I love Nintendo. I have a bunch of Nintendo consoles. I have the 3DS, the 3DS XL, the new 3DS. And a lot of people didn't even know that the new 3DS was really new. And that was an issue because they promoted it as something that was going to support more third parties to make it a console. I want the console experience somewhat. I know it's not going to be all the way. I mean, we saw what happened when Nvidia tried. They tried to with Borderlands 2 and Call of Duty and stuff. Just didn't get there. But that's what people want to experience. And then when you get a Nintendo device and you spend this money, and it's like you're only getting Nintendo games, it's a real awakening of like, oh, damn, I forgot. You're a toy company, and this device is just to play your games because these are your toys. You're not playing along with the other companies. So it's just the reawakening, and that's one thing that we've all realized. We're not going to see Call of Duty. We're not going to see Destiny. We're not going to see, Mass Effect. We're not going to see Battlefield.
Okay, well, hold on. Wait, though. Those are all games that the Switch is incapable of running.
Why? Why is that? That's
because nothing short of a gaming laptop, and even most of those aren't going to run those games properly.
Make something downsized. Make a small version. You can do it.
No, you can't. You cannot make something the size of a Kindle that runs as well as a PS4.
If you tried to play Borderlands 2 on Vita.
What's that?
Play Borderlands 2 on Vita.
That is a cel-shaded game. It is less graphically intense.
It's a first person. It's a
cel-shaded game, and that's what I'm saying. You have to make concessions. If you want to talk about games that go cross platforms, you're not going to get Destiny on a handheld device. You're not going to get Destiny running on a laptop very well. Up until recently, you weren't able to get Skyrim running on a laptop very well. I remember going through this when Rachel bought a brand new gaming laptop and couldn't max out ultra settings on Skyrim because you have to make concessions for mobile games. So if you want to talk about all of the little indie Steam games, or like this guy, name games that have been wildly successful on other systems that would be able to run on the Switch, and those games are the ones that are going to be portable.
When Red Dead comes out, who's going to give a shit about if it's on the Switch or not? Because it's not going to be there. You know what I mean? It's like people want to play the quality games that they play at home on the go, even if it's a dumbed down version. They want to have something similar to that. Don't give us a bunch of old shit and then say, oh, it's new because it's on this damn device. So it's like, I get what they were trying to do, but I've already gone through it. I've had 3 other versions hoping for it. The only console they were ever to do that with was the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance had everything on it. Until then, we haven't seen it. I mean, take a look at the 3DS. It doesn't have it. It's mainly just in-house games, and that's what hurts because I want it to succeed. I want the Switch to do something. And I mean, when you start hearing developers, especially when it comes to like Respawn and other ones saying, no, we're not developing anything of quality for this Switch, it hurts. It's because it's like, why did this come out? They must have talked to these developers and said, hey, what can we do to work something out to try to make a modified version to get something close? Let's work on something, because the last thing you want is every time we see the MPDs, it's only going to be Nintendo in-house games, and all the other fucking games on there are going to be for consoles, or Xbox and PlayStation, and that's what we're going to see. The Call of Duties and all the other games that people want to play, it's not going to be on it, and it's upsetting because it's not fair for people that go out to buy it and the way they're advertising it. I want it to succeed. I want it so bad to be that console. Just give a modified. I don't need it special. You know, and it's not happening. What, I'm gonna need fucking Mario Kart instead of a Gran Turismo type or
You're
Forza
about to get a Skyrim that you can take on the go.
fucking old ass Skyrim. Holy shit, it's old. I don't care about it.
Do you
Don't
think you can
care
put
about it.
anything newer on a mobile device though? Because if so, that's asking the impossible. I mean, let's be fucking honest.
Well, it isn't impossible if the demand is there. If the console if the console does incredibly well, obviously.
No, I'm talking about technical limitations.
No, listen. There have been plenty of situations where they've tried to fit these games on there. There was a Call of Duty on the original Wii, but the thing is that they saw a reason to kind of squeeze it into there. So I feel like the only reason why this sort of thing happens, you know, if you really want to see those sorts of games, the console has to prove itself to these other studios that this is a worthwhile thing to develop for.
It's already starting. It's already starting to.
Otherwise, you're going to continue to get ports of 10 or 20-year-old games. It's like, you know, to be honest, it's like, okay, yes, you have your Skyrim on there. That's wonderful. That's great. But at the same time, anybody who's already wanted to play Skyrim has already fucking played Skyrim.
Okay, but here's my point. You are not going to get fully fledged AAA games.
Don't expect it.
That is also that is not an excuse. They are getting fully fledged of AAA games on there. What do you call Zelda? What do you call Mario Kart? Those
games that were designed with graphics in mind. Like but you're not going to get
games are AAA games.
There are AAA developed games. I will agree with that. And I don't see why you couldn't get Persona on there, to be quite honest. But
the only reason why Persona is not on there and it's on the PS3 is because there are more PS3s out in the market than there are Nintendo Switches. Number two, that company will not invest into the Switch unless the Switch's sales are
we've already heard Ubisoft and they starting to change their tunes on some of this stuff.
And it's not really them changing their tunes. It's just like, all right, we got this 4-year-old game that we created for the Wii. We can squeeze that on there, you know. Obviously, all the development that's happening is a lot of these third parties just kind of conceding and saying, "All right, we'll put a little something on here." Like, hey, look, it's an old Assassin's Creed game. Hey, look, we got Darksiders again.
Let me put a pin in this. This conversation started with me saying every time I bring up the fact that I like the Switch, everyone wants to talk shit, and the conversation has devolved into, yeah, all you're going to get are 4-year-old ports and no third-party support.
It's like not even you. It's not you. I don't care about you with this. It's Nintendo.
But that's the thing. Every time I was going to bring
this up before. See, you're not in our thread. I told them before I was going to bring this up because I was talking with my buddies and we're all talking about things that we would want in a handheld. And the Switch just doesn't offer it for us as bro gamers, as people that like the shooters, as people that are into that shit. It doesn't fit our need. And from people are like, oh man, you should like it, especially me. You don't know what I carry on me. I always have my Game Boy and they're like, damn, how come you don't have this Switch, man? But I don't, because it doesn't have this. It's not offering these things. I'm not purposely trying to hate on the shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to hate on it. You know, I didn't come out and say, damn, I'm going to start hating on that Switch. Why? I don't fucking know. No, it doesn't talk to me. It doesn't have what I want. And the sad thing is, if I look at their track record, it never will have what I want. You know what I mean? 3DS had 5 fucking FPS on it. 5. And they sold over 30 million units of that thing. And it just tells me it's like not happening. There's one Ghost Recon game on it, and it's a fucking XCOM game. You know what I mean? It's like, why? You know, there's got to be a way. Make a smaller version. Make something, different. And a top-down shooter. Switch it up.
That helps kill the Wii. Having gimped versions of popular franchises only helped to highlight how underpowered the Wii was and drove a lot of consumers away. They're not going to do that.
But then they're just telling everybody that they gave in right at the beginning, because once this comes out and all these new games are dropping and everyone's like, all right, so what about the Switch version? We're not making one for Switch. Okay, thanks. And they move on to the next. You know what I mean? And that's going to hurt them even more.
And to be fair, we're getting GIMP versions of any game that's coming out for the Switch as compared to any other console that's out right now.
Actually, the Switch version of Disgaea runs better than the PS4 version. And the Minecraft version runs better than each of the other console versions with a larger map.
Yeah, well, a dead clock is right twice a day. But what, like Brett, here's the thing, because I hear what you're saying, but the reason why we keep harking on Nintendo, and normally it's when you bring up stuff of why you like it, and we counteract with our opinions. Like we're just dissatisfied with the company and what they're doing. Like you take me into account. I have every fucking Nintendo console that's ever come out. And when you see a fucking company that doesn't really talk to you, someone that's been supporting them since the fucking 80s, like you fucking you're gonna get mad, and you're gonna fucking try to beat them down so they can fucking listen. But don't get it confused with it, like it's you that's we're trying to knock down. It's the fucking company.
Oh no, I can understand that part. I'm just saying it's a weird phenomenon, and it lends you to this idea that God damn, I cannot bring up or I cannot pull this thing out in public without somebody talking shit on it. It's like fucking having, GoBot toys.
Yeah, it's like you can't bring up politics without it getting heated. You can't bring up religion without it getting heated. They're just really polarizing topics. They're bound to bring up the different sides between what we think.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I've said it time and time again. My love for the Switch comes with a disclaimer of, and it should be obvious to everybody. I call it a fucking Game Boy. It's a Game Boy. It's always been a Game Boy. It's always going to be a Game Boy. The fact that it hooks up to your TV does not make it not a Game Boy.
All right, at the risk of derailing the show more, we haven't even answered the first question yet, by the way. I need to bring this up because here is something I've been thinking about ever since last Thursday. Right, here's the reason we keep having so much conflict on the show about this. Right, Brett, you see this thing you just said it as a Game Boy, right? That's how you see it. The rest of us see it as a console. We're never going to see eye to eye because we see this thing from two different perspectives.
I can see it from a console perspective too, but you can't negate the idea that you can pick up and take this underpowered console.
I'm personally not negating that, but it seems to me that you're negating the console part of it.
No, it's the best way I could describe it is a highly underpowered console that I can pick up and take with me anywhere. It allows me to play Steam indie games that I haven't gotten around to playing, that would usually be the kind of games that I would relegate to a laptop, because a laptop is not for real gaming. A laptop is for little mini games that you find on Steam. And that's the reason you find games like Binding of Isaac and Stardew Valley and Terraria and shit like that on Steam, is because there are lots of computers out there that don't have the high specs to play some of these AAA games. And so there's a whole market catering already towards these smaller, lower demanding games that don't require a lot of good hardware to run. And this is the vein that Nintendo is tapping. And this happens to be a vein that, yeah, they're all old games, but they're new to me. And some of them they're not even new to me. Like Stardew Valley, I cannot wait to come out on the Switch. I fucking hated unpacking and setting up the laptop every time I wanted to bust out Stardew Valley. I was like, man, I wish I could just pop this shit open, be in the game, and then put it down. Especially when Rachel was going through
version,
her
right?
care.
So it's out right now.
Yeah, I couldn't take a PS4 version up to the fucking hospital when I was up there with Rachel.
No, but I'm talking about now.
Yeah, now it's out, but it's also still not portable on PS4.
Okay, so but again, I just hope you understand that we see it as a console primarily. You see it as a handheld primarily. So
it's not that I see it as a handheld primarily. And I think Brian, maybe you can back me up on this. There's a huge difference between gaming on a laptop and gaming on a PC, and the types of games that you can play on both of them, right?
To some extent, it depends on how much cash you put into your laptop, but generally, yes.
Okay, so I think that's the way that I view it. Is, like I said, a console is to PC what the Switch is to laptop, in that it's portable, but you sacrifice power to do so. And there's always been a ratio of size to power. The more monstrous your PC is, the bigger it is, and the harder it is to fucking lug it around.
But Brett, the difference, and there's a huge distinction here. The laptop can play any game that it's gonna have any game available that's on the PC.
That's not true.
Yeah, you may not be able to run it at ultra, but you can still play.
Nope, that's not true. Cannot play Space Invaders. Cannot play Ark. Cannot play Arkham City.
Get VMware and throw in some other OSs on it. Get Linux. You can load on that too.
You can dual boot, you can triple boot, you can do all that. Like you can play any game. Like you might not play it as in the highest settings. You might have to put that on low, lower down the resolution. But you can play any game you want that's available on PC. Like
That's not true. Rachel's gaming PC, like as it aged, you literally bottom-ended games and they would run at 7 frames per second. They were literally unplayable. And I'm not saying like, oh, he was concerned with frame rates. Like it would look like somebody was fucking flashing flashcards.
Right, I understand that, but at the same time, you could still upgrade that. You can't upgrade the Switch. You can't
upgrade a laptop.
You buy another one then. Right? I can't buy a better Switch. You know, I can't buy a Switch with a more powerful processor.
Honestly, unless you're going to spend about $3,000 on a laptop, you're not going to get top-end gaming PC performance. And even then, you can get the world's best fucking laptop, and it will run at a fraction of the speed of a comparable desktop.
Really? Because I've heard, like, Brian, you correct me if I'm wrong here. Don't they have like laptops with like GTX 1080s in them and shit?
Yep, you're starting to get those.
The Origin ones.
They're fucking expensive. Nothing wrong. Like,
but they exist. If you negate price, they exist. You know, I can't buy a better Switch. I can't buy a $3,000 Switch.
No, but what you can do is you can overclock a PC. It has a bigger components. It has better cooling.
Can we just move on to the questions, please? Because I'm getting a bit bored of this discussion right now. Because it seems like the same discussion we have almost every single week.
Yeah, it is. Or the Switch to us is like the PC versus console gaming debate of the Warzone. Remember that?
Yeah, let's go back to Batman v Superman, man.
Yeah, let's do that. But yeah, anyway, let's get to the actual questions. Adam, was that the rant? Is that what you wanted to get off your chest?
No, it's just the stuff that what I'm looking for in a handheld has nothing to do with the Switch. It's just what people want, and that market's not there. It's not being addressed, so it'll just always remain on the consoles, and the consoles will always have their big titles up in the top 10.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is actually a valid argument. Some people I've read some things where people are like, shit, I love the Switch, but I can't play fucking Destiny on this. I'm on the road all the time. I'm playing all this shit, but I'm like, I can't take it with me. You know,
those are the people that spend the money. You know, every year they go out and buy it. So that's a strong community right there. Those are people that will drop money for the new version, regardless of what's on it. Like once they see that name, COD or whatever, they go and get it.
Yeah, like homeboy was talking about like dude is like, I love the Switch. I want to play Nier Automata on the road. I can't fucking do it. You know, he's do it.
Like buy a laptop.
Okay,
spend the extra money and buy
can a laptop? Here, I'm gonna get this. Can a laptop fit in your hand? Can your laptop stick to your TV? No.
Actually, a laptop can hook up to your TV. Most laptops have HDMI ports.
So you want to take it on the go. You don't want to take you don't want to take out a fucking laptop and sit that shit on your computer on your fucking lap. No, seriously, Brett. You're gonna be on the fucking subway in New York City or any other fucking place with like a dope with your laptop on your TV. Motherfuckers will come right over to you and just snatch that shit right off your lap.
No, I absolutely agree with that. It's just one of those like I think like I would actually like to see somebody, and if anybody's like, you know, really good with building computers or an engineer, like please map out how big the Switch would have to be to have the specs to run current gen AAA games. Because I'm curious if you could fit all of that hardware into a 12-inch iPad, because I'm pretty sure a 12-inch iPad Pro does not have the specs to run current PS4 games. And like I would use that as the benchmark, or fuck it, the lowest denominator of Xbox. Like let's call that current gen AAA games. I don't think that you can find a tablet on the market right now less than 10 inches that can run those specs. And I'm waiting to be proven wrong on that, because if you show me that you can pack the tech necessary into something the size of the Switch, I will eat my fucking hat.
All right, so somebody find some shit, but you know, Brett, don't eat the hat though, please. Bad indigestion, man. Anyway, come on, let's answer some questions, man. First one up. Actually, no, before I do that, okay. So remember, as always, if you want to, you know, have us answer your questions, leave them in the comments of this video or over on the Coalition, as always. And you guys in the live room right now, you want to ask us some shit, feel free to ask us some shit. All right, let's get into it. First up here is first timer, by the way, Robert Figartner. Awesome. He goes, very excellent podcast. Been a fan for a while. Amazing. All right. So his question is, why do people trust journalist reviewers? Anyone notice that Call of Duty consistently gets 8 and 9s, even though it lacks innovation? People should trust podcasts more. For example, I trust the Weapon Wheel podcast and Throwdown for reviews. Sites like Metacritic are bullshit because a lot of reviewers can be paid off. Even a lot of YouTubers, mainly with sub counts over 200,000 plus, get paid reviews. I think people should look at YouTubers they trust mainly with PSN and or Xbox gamer tags with proof of completing their games. Too many frauds in the gaming community. IGN, GameSpot, Polygon are not gamers. They are frauds, and we as a community should realize that. Very good question. So yeah, should we
that's quite funny, Tony.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that hilarious? By the way, IGN changed the review of Prey from 4 to 8 now.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily disagree with this guy. We said this something. It's like, listen, if you don't trust those big guys, don't go to those guys. You go to some guys that you generally agree with, whose opinions line up with yours, and you go to them, because those big guys.
Or when you go to Metacritic, look at the people's review. That's one of the cool things that they have there. It's you could see like the big groups or whatever, the sites, but then you could also see the people's version next to it. What do they think?
Yeah,
sometimes the numbers don't actually match up.
Oh yeah, they definitely don't.
You'll find a game that's critically acclaimed, and you'll see the user reviews are just like, this game, I don't know why this game got such good ratings or whatever, all this stuff. So
like the version of like Wildlands. Wildlands got pretty bad reviews, and it's like 6.4, 4.4. The whole thing. If you look at the player review, it's 8.8. It's like,
yeah. Because the thing. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I was saying that, like, same thing with Mad Max. It got like okay to average like reviews, but then the users just loved it. It was like really odd.
It's not a bad game. Mad Max is not a bad game.
No, it's not a bad game.
I mean, it's a little. I found it a little bit boring, but I mean, and I still need to go back and play it. But again, it's like the 50,000 yard open world game.
Yeah, it's a lot of driving.
A lot of driving and a lot of grinding.
Oh yeah, by the way, this is something we've been experiencing on our end for a while now. Like, there are guys that don't go to IGN, those big sites. They come to us for our opinions, because they trust us more, because they know we actually play the games. They can go on our PSN, Xbox, whatever, and see if we completed it.
On that note, wait for Tony's Prey review. I won't spoil it, other than saying he has feelings about this.
Oh yeah, Brett, remember what I told us? I'm like, I'm glad I'm not reviewing this fucking game, because man.
No, but we have to wait till after the review deadline to officially talk about it, don't we?
No, the game's out.
Oh, so you can talk shit on it all you want now.
Yeah, right. I can. This is what I said last night in the party chat. I'm like, fuck Prey. I'm gonna play Mega Man instead. That lets you know everything you need to know right there. I'd rather play an old ass Mega Man game I've beaten 1,000,000 times than play Prey.
That should be the quote on the box. Like,
yes,
I'm gonna go play Mega Man. Tony Polanco.
Can I just jump in really quickly, Tony, and ask you one question?
Sure.
You played it on PS4, right?
Yes.
Okay, the PS4 version is known to have stupid amounts of input lag for no reason.
Okay.
I thought I'd put that out there. So I think that's why you may have been having some issues with the combat and why it may feel very clunky. Because I have heard it's been just really bad on the PS4. Xbox is okay for some odd reason. I'm like,
it's because of the resolution.
I have no idea. I've not looked into it. I was just like, oh, okay.
They said the PC version, despite what the IGN guy said, they say the PC version is actually the perfect version of that game.
Wow.
The IGN guy was probably the only guy, as far as a lot of the other people who played it on the PC, they've never ran into that issue that he ran into.
I'm actually glad you bring that point up, because the professional reviewers are like, oh yeah, the game's a fucking mess on PC, but then the users are saying it runs great on PC. Mm-hmm. Very interesting, isn't it?
There's a good chance that their PCs are not like. You also have to remember that a lot of the guys at these places like IGN and these places, a lot of these guys don't actually know anything about PCs and building PCs.
Anything that sounds
so there's a good chance they're having some, like a lot of times what happens is sometimes you can kind of have to check your graphics card against your your motherboard to see if they would gel properly, stuff like that. So, what do you?
The hell is that noise?
It's like crickets. Hello?
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And see, and
that
whoever did that noise doesn't want to speak up now.
I don't think it's me.
Not me.
I think it's Brian.
Oh.
I just
Brian.
pulled the name out of hat. So
Yeah, he muted
It's me
himself
all
too.
of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, okay, so yeah, I mean, the thing is that I'm guessing that could be an issue that they're having, and they can't, as the reviewer. I don't know what the reviewer's deal is, but maybe they don't understand how to properly set up their PC, or maybe the PC that they have at their job is not, set up properly. So maybe that's why they're having the issue. Digital Foundry didn't have no issue. In fact, they said it was good. So what's up with IGN?
Yeah, what was his reasoning? What did he say when he went back, or was it a different reviewer?
I mean, I didn't see the the updated one. I saw the original one. He liked the game. He said he said it was a very good game, but it crashed on him like halfway through. He's like, I can't finish this game, so I got to give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, you didn't seem to be enjoying the shit that you did play, even like unglitch free. Like at a certain point, after hearing you talk about that, or after hearing talk about it, it sounded like a game-breaking bug would have been like a gift from heaven for Tony to give him an excuse to stop.
Yes, that would have been fantastic, man. Like, this is the first game in a long time. And Brad, remember we talked about this before. I finish my games, no matter how fucking terrible they are. I finish my games. This is a game I'm like, no, fuck this shit. I'm not playing this fucking game. I get, and it's sad too because the environments are cool, the story seems cool, but the game is like, it's clunky as shit. It's one of the clunkiest games I've ever played in my life. But anyway, that's not part of the question here. So yeah, trust the people that are in line with you. Because again, with reviewers, they may stump their toe that morning. They may be pissed off and then give the game a bad review.
Well, even then, it's also nice to like get a general context or bearing. Like, how Total Biscuit generally reviews games. How Angry Joe generally reviews games. Yahtzee pretty much hates all games.
Yes.
And if you so
He doesn't hate all games, Brad.
No. I said he pretty much. So when Yahtzee's like,
yeah, he pretty much hates all games.
No, he is very critical of games. He gives it input in a very sarcastic manner, which is a very British thing to do. But he doesn't hate all games. He actually likes a lot of games.
No. I know he does. Like, let me put it this way.
As in, like,
I love his delivery. So when if Yahtzee said this is a damn good game, you'd be like, wait, what?
Yahtzee only likes Prince of Persia games. That's all I've seen him like.
No, Yahtzee talked shit on Dark Souls and then went back and played it and made a whole video about like, well, I was wrong and here's why I love Dark Souls. And I was like, holy shit.
He didn't like Demon Souls, but he loved Dark Souls 1. He thought Dark Souls 2 was a good but not as good retread, and Dark Souls 3 was kind of like, okay, this is like still going along the same route, but still okay.
Yeah.
And he liked Portal 2 as well.
He also liked Persona 5.
Oh, I haven't seen his review on Persona 5. I do like how he'll call out games for just stapling on shit from other games. Like he'll cut straight to the point and be like, this game is pretty much this with a mask of this and a sprinkle of this. You're like, okay, well, now we know. I appreciate that. He's one of my, like, I know everybody's got theirs, but Yahtzee's my personal favorite.
Yeah, I stopped listening to that guy yesterday. I couldn't stand him anymore. I hate every game. I'm like, all right, man, whatever,
I hate every game.
I see why you got
absolutely British.
He is just very critical in like a very
like, come on, man. Can't take you fucking seriously talking like
it is
that.
called zero punctuation for like a reason.
Yeah. Well,
I guess.
He is hypercritical, which is the reason you have to appreciate his critiques. Like, if there's something shitty about a game, he will not like just pass over it and be like, this is acceptable. He'll point it out and then be like, and it maybe gets a pass because there's other things that actually make this game redeemable.
Like his review of Outlast 2 was really good. Because after that game is just like really bad. Like everyone now listening to you is just saying that, yeah, this game is just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, all right.
I finished
anybody else want to? Yeah, anybody else want to go off on this review thing?
Yeah, get your news from YouTube.
Yes, I was about just pretty much that. Just go to YouTube, look at people, or find people that you like listening to, and listen to what they have to say. And the keyword there is people, not person. never get your opinions from like one single source, because then you end up just being.
Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Remember the guy from Giant Bomb who worked at GameSpot, and he gave remember he gave Assassin's Creed 2 a bad review, and then he got fired for it.
No, it wasn't Assassin's
Creed.
Creed. It was Keenan Lynch Dog Days.
Yeah, Keenan Lynch. Yeah,
Keenan Lynch. That was it. Keenan Lynch.
That shit
They had
crazy,
some
'cause
deal with
which-
Ubisoft.
Which is hilarious. Which is hilarious because those Kane Lynch games are pieces of shit.
Right.
Anyway,
Let's
move on.
Want to talk about a game that's trying too hard to be, to be a good game. Those games are that. It's like, hey, we're doing awesome shit. You're robbing shit. You're blowing shit up. Isn't that cool? No,
it's not.
no,
Get
it's
this
not.
game out of my face.
Stop it.
You're running around in your underwear. I remember that thing. We played that. Remember we stood up late one time doing
Oh
that.
man, that shit had the worst co-op mode ever, where it's like it splits the screen in half, which okay, was just fine, but it doesn't readjust the aspect ratio of where you can see. So you have people shooting at you way off of screen, and you can't even move your gun to see them. Assholes.
All right, man. Next question here, Mr. Apex. He goes, "Are publishers over budgeting their projects and in the wake of all these games going on hiatus and devs being regulated to support studios?" I think he really means, do they have unrealistic sales expectations?
No, I understand the question, and yes, I would say
Oh, hell
publishers are
yes.
over budgeting
yeah.
their projects
Yeah,
to
definitely.
compensate for. Like, look, if you have a group of 100 people, you might have 10 really talented people, right? And so you might say to yourself, like, well, let's just make a studio of 100 really talented people. Well, that doesn't really fucking happen. And so they hedge their bets, and they kind of over hire and over budget, and they try and cram as much talent into a building and hope to engineer success. But that's not how it really works. And just having that type of system creates a lot of bloat. I'm sure Manny might probably agree that, in the business of creatives, there's oftentimes a lot of bloat because they put way too many people in charge of the people actually making the product or the actual talent.
Yeah, there's, in the TV industry, there can be that you could have producers that have producers, and there's one producer that does really absolutely nothing, and we'll get a bonus when the show comes in under budget. There are moments there. A lot of TV works that way, unfortunately, and that's also the same. That's also the same way producers in movies work, where it's like, okay, we have this budget like that we did for let's say Spider-Man, and Spider-Man just came under budget and on time. So the producer will get a nice stipend and be like, hey, good job, even though they really didn't do anything.
Yeah, and I doubt the gaming industry is immune to this. So that's why you can see.
Well, there are. Producers. No. I wouldn't say that producers in the game industry are a lot like producers in the movie and television industry. They're people that kind of sit there and say, "Oh yeah, go ahead." They really much control the money part of it.
Yeah, we've seen too many people working in video games who know nothing about video games, or obviously, don't play them. Which is,
officially they don't need to. They just need to. They're the one, and it's sad because those are the type of people that are cutting budgets on people, or cutting down staff, or outsourcing.
Right, and I've never seen that work. Like, even in my field, like, if I've never seen a tattoo shop run by somebody who wasn't a tattoo artist.
Mm-hmm.
It works the way that it should.
It's unheard of. How is it that you're telling me that this company is this producer who's never touched a game ever before in their life is somehow able to divvy out a budget when they don't even know how long this shit will take?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is why you can see small, like, indie development teams, like, of 12 people make an amazing game. I mean, for all of the criticism that No Man's Sky was, it was a very successful accomplishment for a very small development team. Like, if you look at the number of people that worked on that game and what they actually accomplished, it was not bad, and it was not their problem was that they overpromised, but what they actually achieved with a very small group was actually pretty fucking impressive. And that's why, like, you see these small development teams, or even like CD Projekt Red, I don't think has even that many people in it, but they do amazing games that obviously can go head to head with, you know, EA's, you know, bloated giant budget Destiny type games, you know, any day of the week. So yeah, the answer has to be that they over budget on some of them, because you have smaller, more talented teams coming in with lower budget games that are just as high quality, and there's no other way to explain it other than it has to follow the same rules or the same pitfalls that happen in movies and happen in TV and happen in a lot of, you know, the business of entertainment, where you have too many wranglers for not enough talent.
Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the thing is that also the other part of games, and this is not something that people do not talk about, I mean, is it's fucking nebulous. It's not like goddamn TV where it's like you have the script and pretty much what you have written in the script gets put onto the TV, or what's in the storyboard gets put onto TV. You'll have situations where they'll go halfway through a game and say, holy shit, this is not what I wanted. And they'll have to go back to formula. They'll have to redo things over and over again. It's not like the video games do not have a straight route. You'll always hear situations where they're like, well, you know, we were going to go with this way of doing this game, but we totally trashed that out. And then we decided to start from scratch again. You can't, you have to, the thing about doing a video game is that there always has to be that time where you have to test and you have to create and you have to be able to pull something together even before any sort of real development starts on a game.
Or even after. Remember Project Titan, the unannounced giant Blizzard world-changing game that got dumped after it was completed like 2 or 3 times because it just wasn't fun.
Yeah, that's also the Blizzard. They have very high standards when it comes to certain games.
I appreciate that. Like, at least somebody's
they'll never release. Yeah, they'll never release anything that doesn't reach a certain amount of fun or whatever. That's why the game you hear about all these games that got canceled, like StarCraft Ghost and all those other ones that were based on Blizzard franchises. There's a friggin' point and click adventure. Was it a Warcraft game that was pretty much done? They just dropped it. Boom, gone.
Yeah, Blizzard they have people come in, they're like, so this game isn't fun, shut it all down.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the thing is that they make so much money on that they can afford to do something like that. But at the same time, it's like when you have like places like, you know, and I'm sure now that they're owned by Activision, Activision's probably going to want them to focus more on things that, you know, you know, on the big things. It's the Overwatches, it's the World of Warcrafts. Those things are like surefire money makers. And I think that's also what happens with a lot of these big studios. It's like you had, because they had the original Mass Effect team running on some sort of other game, they handed over the game over to a bunch of people who just do DLC. Obviously, I'm sure that those guys could probably have pulled off a good game, but I think maybe that they underestimated the what this team could do, and they didn't put the right people in. You know, like nowhere do I hear in any of those conversations they had any of the original directors or anything like that from Mass Effect controlling the ship on this new Mass Effect game. And I feel like that's also probably one of the issues. Not only because of the fact that they decided to, you know, just marginalize and outsource a bunch of stuff, which, by the way, most games do actually outsource stuff. Like the guys on Uncharted, they actually outsourced a lot of the background vehicles and stuff like that. You know, cars, you know, items, even little bits of trees, all kinds of other things, so that the main game team can continue to make the main part of the game, rather than in those guys' situation, you know, they're like, oh hey, we just outsourced all the facial motion to this Indian company somewhere. So.
All right, let's move on here. Hash slinging slasher. What's going on, brother? I see you in the comments over there. All right, he goes, question time, boys. All right, he goes specific. Both of these are specifically for me, but you guys would jump in, obviously. He goes specifically for Tony, but I would like to hear the input from everyone. Do you think having exclusive games benefits the consumer or hurts them? I believe they hurt the consumer more than anything. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are essentially saying if you want to play this game, then you have to pay $200+ just to get access to it. I would much rather have to choose between which console offers a better experience and services. All right. My take is I don't think it doesn't benefit them exactly, but it doesn't hurt them either, because at the end of the day, you have a choice. You can either buy it or you don't buy it. Like, you not being able to play a game doesn't hurt you. You don't have a right to play a game. It's a consumer product. You could buy it if you could afford it. So it doesn't hurt you, but it also doesn't benefit you either. So I don't think it's either of those things, to be honest. The whole thing of like, oh, these games are anti-consumer really like started gaining more ground this year after, I'm just being honest right now, after Sony dropped so many exclusives that the Xbox fanboys had to retaliate with this nonsense, So yeah, no, it doesn't hurt anybody, man. That's just business. You do not have a right to video games. That's bullshit.
No, I totally agree. It's a shame that you're not able to play all these games that are on every console, but at the same time, it's like how different would if the playing field was even, like where every single console had every single game. Nintendo games, you could not only buy a Nintendo Switch, you could also play Sony PlayStation games on there or an Xbox games on there. With the exception of the Switch, right? You probably would, a lot of gamers would probably go for that at the time because it's got everything and it's portable. But at the same time, it's like we have this playing field that's so even. What would be the thing that you would buy all the other consoles? Like, what would you buy a PS4 for, other than maybe a slight resolution boost over the Xbox One? Or some services,
the differences are pretty negligible. He mentioned services, right? But okay, what gamer is honestly going to buy, let's say Xbox and PlayStation were exactly the same, same games, right? What gamer would go, I'm going to buy this one because it has Netflix? That's stupid.
It's silly. I mean, like, what services can either one of them offer that wouldn't be something that wasn't exclusive?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I also point out the fact that exclusives are generally often some of the best games of their generation, and that having that competitive idea not only raises the high water mark of games of that generation, but changes the discussion from how many copies do we get in the wild to how do we earn the zeal and the loyalty of a fan base that's going to make them pull their friends in by way of jealousy. There used to be a time in which they would come out with games that they wanted to sell numbers on, and they would come out with games that were supposed to be so good that your friend would see you play it and go buy that console specifically to get to that game. It's where the whole idea of a system seller came from. And those were some of, honestly, the best games in history were exclusives, system sellers. And it was because they weren't created with a bottom line in mind. They were created with the idea of creating a quality product that stood the test of time. And oftentimes they did.
So Brett, what you're telling me is that's how exclusives benefit gamers, because when you have exclusives that are typically better than third-party games, in terms of quality at least, it raises the bar for every other game. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Exactly. And not just that, but it affects the idea in which the games are made. I mean, think about it. If you're making an exclusive game, right, that is higher quality and going out to a smaller install base, your goal isn't to generate as much money through sales as possible. That's a secondary goal, don't get me wrong, but you're generating goodwill, and you're generating goodwill towards the console and the platform itself that can be leveraged as a commodity. That very idea of itself it's a song and dance that we used to play that we don't do anymore. And it's actually kind of funny because we have more zealots for consoles now than we did back in the day when the consoles directly courted us. I mean, I remember the days of Sega do what Nintendo don't. Like, there were times when companies would try and figure out what you wanted, bring you back franchises, and treat them with love and treat them with respect, and worry about, driving away a fan base. There was a time in which goodwill of your consumers meant a lot. And those were the days of, the idea of exclusives. And that's the kind of thinking that having exclusives breeds. It's, look, we're not trying to push straight numbers here. We're trying to create goodwill towards a brand. And we do this by delivering a quality product that people are going to talk about, as opposed to, let's get this thing pushed out, clamp down on any reviews so we can get as many pre-orders out the door before anybody realizes what a steaming pile of horseshit we release this time, and then hope that by the next Assassin's Creed game, everybody's forgotten about it.
Yeah, I need to jump in real quick because you brought up a very, very important point, right? Back in the day, right, there actually were noticeable differences between consoles, right? There was zealotry, but not to the extent now. Nowadays, we have zealotry to the extreme, and both consoles are kind of the same thing if you really think about it. So that's very interesting how the two systems, Sony and Xbox, now are kind of the same. They play 90% of the same games, yet they're more hardcore zealots than there used to be back in the day when systems, Genesis and Super Nintendo, were fundamentally different systems, right? But it wasn't on that level. At the end of the day, people would still play games from each other's systems. Now it's like these guys are so rabid. If you even get like a PlayStation in their home, they'd kill you or something, Very kill you. Like, you realize that PlayStation, has the same games that's on your precious Xbox, right? It's hilarious.
I also feel like the exclusives are a good way to show the capabilities of the consoles.
Because when third-party games always have to be made for the lowest common denominator, right? When you make a first-party game, it's just exclusive to that system. You could fully tap that system, right? Mm-hmm. And again, that raises the bar for everybody else. You're not really raising the bar on third-party games. Rarely, it happens sometimes, but not most of the time. Like I know Witcher, that's a third-party game, and I've raised the level up for everybody, but that's a rare thing,
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're not going to find amazing third-party games. I'm saying that first-party exclusives just create an era of competitiveness and change the bottom line from let's put as many copies through the door as fast as possible before people realize they're crap to this game has to stand up to after people have played it, that they still want to say good things about it. It's the exclusives are more built to be slow burn games, and although they'll achieve a lot of hype, I think Chris called them evergreen titles. They're the idea that it's a game that's going to keep producing because the quality of the game keeps it around. Dark Souls is a perfect example. Sony would be an idiot not to make Bloodborne 2. I mean, people are still playing Bloodborne 1. It is still generating brand recognition at this point. And it's been and that game was barely fucking advertised. And those are the kind of games that exclusives are generally built to be. The kind where you go back to them and you cherish them and your friends want to play them. It's a completely different mentality from, Call of Duty, which is let's get another copy in everybody's hands and pick $60 from them. Yes.
Why would Sony be dumb for not releasing a Bloodborne 2? Just out of interest.
Because it's pretty much printing free money, and as the Souls
franchise. So then you're saying that at one point, exclusives are out there as like a slow burn and not to get people's money out, but then Sony should release Bloodborne 2 to get people's money out.
Not to get people's money out, because there's a huge demand for it.
Because it's still pumping money, right? So it's still making money.
There's people pretty much knocking at the door saying, please take some money.
Get more money. Okay, cool.
No, here's the thing. Obviously you do want money, but I think they should release a Bloodborne 2 again because you want to please your fan base. You know what I'm saying?
That are slow burning Bloodborne 1 and enjoying that for the time being.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Exactly. But again, I'm seeing it from the other perspective. They should release it because the fans still like the game. They want to see a follow-up, and it creates faith with the company,
Are people asking for a Bloodborne 2?
Have you not seen Twitter? They're going crazy. They're like, dude, we got Bloodborne 2 at this E3. They're going nuts. Because what happened is this week, a rumor came out that is a title they're going to announce. So everybody's losing their minds. They're waiting for this shit. So yeah, they're definitely, excited for it.
Then prior to the leak, were people as excited?
No, but you still heard rumblings. People would last year. That's when it really started. I want that Bloodborne 2, man. After Dark Souls 3 came out, that's when people go, "Yo, I need that."
We're still getting Dark Souls 3 DLC. It's people aren't necessarily clamoring for it because a lot of Bloodborne players moved into Dark Souls. Like, way more people played Dark Souls 3 than played either of the first two games. So there's a lot of people.
But there was more interest in Bloodborne 2 after Dark Souls 3 because remember, you have guys like me who only got into those Souls games because of Bloodborne. I played Dark Souls 3. I'm like, Dark Souls 3 is cool, but Bloodborne's a better game. I want that type of combat,
as soon as Ring City dropped, and that was, officially the last DLC for the last Dark Souls games, was when I saw interest start peaking and like, okay, so when are we going to hear about Bloodborne?
Yeah.
Dark Souls fans are like crack fiends. Like we start to freak out when we don't know where our next fix is coming from.
What if From Software is just like, fuck y'all, we're doing Demon Souls. Another exclusive.
Oh,
Chris would need a new pair of pants.
Chris would lose his mind.
I know.
All right, man. Let's move on here.
I can just add
go ahead,
something
Brian.
very quickly. To start the converse of what Brett said. Like, I agree with everything that Brett says for like most part, but then you also have to acknowledge the flip side of what happens when exclusives don't sell, and then the studios end up shutting down.
The Order.
No, just look at the creators of Drive Club. Like, that game did okay, and then the studio got shut down. It's gone. It's dead.
Yeah.
I feel like,
and I think that's like the converse side that people don't seem to want to see. Is like the side where, okay, exclusives can be great. They can show off the power of these consoles and these platforms. But if they don't succeed, then these developers go out of business, and ultimately that hurts consumers more than anything else. Developers going out of business.
But the same could be said about third-party games. The same exact thing could be said about third-party games.
Yeah, but then at least with third-party games, they can like move around. They can try to make deals. Whereas with like exclusive party games, like if they are bad and they're shown to be bad, then the team that holds them, they tend to be like, okay, you know what? Let's not make another one. And then other people like see that and say, okay, I'd say, oh, this team, they made a bad game. Let's not touch them. Like, they become like the red-headed stepchild. And I think that affects us way more than anything else can. Because I was looking forward to like a Motorstorm on PS4. Because I was like, okay, cool, Motorstorm, PS4, it will look exactly like that trailer did when it first came out, and then suddenly Drive Club came out. I was like, okay, cool. You know what? I'll wait it out. I'll see what next to come up. Oh, the studio's gone.
All right.
Now,
so my question is, what would be your solution to this?
I have one.
I don't know. Maybe not like peg their hopes on just like one party and like try and do like what Insomniac did and like move around a bit, or even just do like Bungie did and not go like multi-platform like permanently, but like try out multi-platform solutions.
How about a clause in the exclusivity contract that says if you sell under X amount of units, that you open up the rights to pursue other platforms of avenues of
but
revenue.
then at that point they become tainted, or quote unquote tainted, because they underperformed, and no one would want to do that because that does not make money.
I suppose
it's
so.
like one of those like things where like it's shitty when things go bad, as like really shitty when things go bad. When things go great, it's fantastic. Games out the asshole, exclusives everywhere. But when it goes bad, these things go under, and people that like are left wanting more from the studios tend to not get fuck all. Like, we all know that I love my SOCOM games. I'll never see another SOCOM game as far as I live, and that just frustrates the crap out of me. I'll never see another Motorstorm game as long as I live. That still just frustrates me, and I'm just here like, hey guys, this is like the bad side. Like when studios shut down, and
you can't really do anything about that.
Yeah, but EA does pretty much kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
we're
not going to get into Mass Effect anytime soon. The same thing happens on the third party side, man.
Yeah, like video games kill companies when either they're bad games and they don't sell well, there wasn't a need in the market wasn't asking for the game, or the marketing wasn't right. So yeah, like this is for third party or first party games, whether they're exclusive, whether they're multi-platform, like they all carry the same risks. Like the only reason, like the thing that you're mentioning, Brian, is they're just hurting them from being more profitable. Or because if a game is going to fail, like why would it? If it was a good game that was marketed correctly, why would it fail on the console that it's in? unless the market didn't really need that game. You know what I'm saying? Like the game's gonna fail regardless of whether it's exclusive or multi-platform.
Well, there was the whole like Overwatch and whatever was competing with Overwatch, Battleborn, wasn't it?
Battleborn was released before it.
Yeah,
No,
I know, but
they
they
released at roughly the same time.
window.
They were released at roughly the same time, and Battleborn was, nobody even talks about that game.
No,
It's
they
funny because
both.
they were talking about that game before they
Yeah.
saw anything for
Yeah,
Overwatch.
but when Overwatch came out, that was it. Anything that's like similar to Overwatch, forget about it.
Yeah, so you do have points where like perfectly decent games just they're rushing for a niche. And I remember like Prototype and Infamous came out right around the same time. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those like, are there spies at video game companies like figuring out what the other video game companies are working on?
Oh,
They're like,
well,
they're doing a
dude,
superhero game. We're
you know-
doing a superhero
I
game.
gotta mention something. Like that's a perfect example because Infamous was an exclusive and Prototype was a third-party game. Remember, Prototype was the Xbox people's games because they didn't have Infamous.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a third-party game. It was a multi-platform game, and that failed, and Infamous succeeded. So
Prototype got a sequel as well. You tend to
So
forget
did
that.
Infamous. They got two
Yeah.
sequels.
Yeah, but
and
it
a
didn't
DLC.
fail. It just
And two
didn't do
DLCs
as well.
actually, yeah. But
which one's alive and which one's dead?
That's
you
what I'm
know?
saying. Prototype. That yeah.
I don't know. As to people that liked Infamous Second Son.
I mean,
Yeah,
it sold well.
Yeah, they're a great game.
Okay. I'll ask Riku and see what he says.
I mean, was it Sucker Punch who made that game?
Yeah.
They're doing really good. I don't know how the
Yeah,
Prototype.
Sucker Punch is doing great. The guys who made I was gonna say Hulk and Ultimate Destruction. The guys who made Prototype, who knows, man? They dropped the ball so bad on that fucking Prototype. That was bad because when I saw like, oh shit, is that studio making that game? This game's gonna be fucking crazy. I love old Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Then I played. I'm like, what the fuck, man? And it was back in those days.
No,
where,
it only just made you realize that a Hulk Ultimate Destruction was really just a shitty game that you liked.
no, it made me go that those
That
guys
game
were
was
just.
I like that game. Too.
I like the game. What it let me know was like that studio was a one-hit wonder. That's what it let me know.
Yeah, they're called Radical Entertainment, and the last game they released was Prototype 2 in 2012.
Jesus, what a legacy there. All right, let's move on here. Last question, specifically for Tony, but I'd like to hear everyone's responses on this kind of two-part question. This is a good question. By the way, he actually asked us 3 questions, and this is the one who was like, you can ask this if we need more. I actually took out the middle one because it was about piracy. We've talked about that before, but I'll bring it up again if we need to. But he goes, are you good at multiplayer games? Do you not like multiplayer games like Destiny, Call of Duty, Overwatch, and others because they're mostly focused on gameplay rather than story? And if you're not good at multiplayer games, do you think that's why you don't like them? This is a good question because I've been considering this because it's like, okay, I'm not good at multiplayer games. I don't like multiplayer games, but since I don't like them, I don't play them enough to get better at them. So it's this circle, you know what I mean? And the main reason I don't like them, like you said, I don't see the point of them. I'm like, okay, there's no story here. We're literally just running around an arena, shooting the shit out of each other. What is the point here? I don't understand it. Why should I put time into this shit when there's absolutely no like end goal? There's no like narrative thrust, to keep me incentivized to play it. So I don't get the point. So, but because of that, I don't get better at these games. Like some of these guys are so good with the Twitch, like Twitch reflexes and shit. I don't have that. I'm a more methodical type of gamer. Like I try to think about shit, but in these games, thinking you can't think. You just got to go in there, just murder everything,
Most of the time,
I think it also depends on the multiplayer game when it comes.
And I am specifically talking about multiplayer. Now, I'm not talking about co-op. I'm talking about multiplayer versus competitive. I'm talking about that type of stuff.
Oh, okay. I mean, the thing is that most of those multiplayer games end up being shooting games. In general, I don't like games that you have to shoot people in because I suck at shooting in games.
Yeah, that you get definitely because I freely admit I'm not good at those games, but it's because I don't put enough time in them. But I don't put enough time in them because I don't like those games. So that's how it is. But
I would prefer. I feel like I would prefer a multiplayer. I feel like I prefer a multiplayer experience which involves less on having to shoot somebody and more and having.
Oh shit! Hold up. Shout out to Hip Hop Gamer who's in the chat room right now. What's up, man?
Yo, man, what is up?
My man, he's saying God bless to us, all that. Fucking awesome,
thanks,
man.
Nice.
Yeah, hip hop. That's right. Tomorrow,
Hip-hop,
man,
I'm playing Playground and all that. I'm just saying.
I can't say what he's talking about, but tomorrow it's gonna happen, man. Oh,
Be sure
you guys get ready, man. On my PC, I'll leave that alone. All right. Anyway, let's keep answering this question. Hip hop, man, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, what about you guys? Like Adam, let's go to you, man, because you're a big multiplayer guy. You know?
Yeah, I like it. It's mainly it's a buddy thing. Like, like on the Xbox, I have my crew, the Orphans, and we have a clan. We have our clan title, and we jump in on all the Call of Duties, and we just go, and we just build up our stats, and we get up on the leaderboards. So it's more about a social thing, which is why a lot of people felt that 360 and even Xbox One was going to dominate, because it was like, yo, you have these people on lock. They have that community. They have that structure. If you leave to go play Call of Duty somewhere else, you need your buddies to go with you. So it really comes down to that. So you prestige, you get a bunch of prestige, you get your weapons, and you just it's all about that unity, playing with buddies. That's really what lures people in. So yeah, there's most of the time, especially in Call of Duty, there's no trophies or achievements linked to the multiplayer. It's just all about the prestige and getting those weapons and stuff. So that's it. That's really what it is, and that's why a lot of people have fun doing it. They like playing with friends. I mean, look at Destiny, same thing. Buddy system. Division, buddy system. Wildlands, buddy system. You play with your buddies. This is what. It's sort of like what Brett was talking about. Remember the whole attacks, go tell your buddy, go tell your friend. Well, this is it. These are the games that they're built for. Hey, let's go play some multiplayer. What do you mean? We can buddy up. We don't have to just shoot each other. We can go and shoot others. We can form a team. Oh, okay. So then the guy jumps on. He doesn't know what to play. He sees like two of his buddies already playing Call of Duty. Boom, jump in. Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, all right. You take a point on here, and I'm going to take flank on this side on the right, and let's go.
For me, the type of multiplayer I've always liked is games where if I'm playing the single player campaign, having the ability to have the other guy, if there is another character in the game, that they are playing the other one, like the way Gears of War used to do it. And I don't know why more companies don't even do that, where it's like, okay, if you're playing the campaign in the game, why can't Tony or any of you guys jump in as the other character, and we both do this shit? Like Resident Evil 6.
Yeah.
Was it Resident Evil? No, Resident Evil 5.
5.
Resident Evil 5. That one did that. That one did it too. So I'm like, why aren't we doing that anymore? That shit was fun.
No, there's still games that do that.
Yeah, a lot of games do it.
Do what now?
But we're not saying any. We're just like, oh yeah, a lot of games.
I mean, I'm playing one right now.
Mass Effect has a multiplayer mode like
Halo?
that.
No, they have. That is just an arena thing. That is not. You're not going through the main missions in that. If I could take my fucking shepherd, fucking shepherd and play in your fucking game, we're doing these missions together. That is what I mean. I don't mean that bullshit like, hey, look, we're in an arena, kind of, and there's waves of things coming in.
No, Wildlands, you can do that. You take your leveled up guy into someone else's. You can do that and have all your gear and all your weapons. Like on level.
The Division.
Yeah,
I want to see guys
the way Bloodborne or any of the Dark Souls games do it, where you can actually have all those guys. Like Brett's guy can come into my game and we can go take out the cleric beast or any of the other creatures.
You'll get severely nerfed, but yeah,
it's still fun. I mean, it's fun to have somebody with you, and you're still playing through your game and you're still experiencing the story, but you have a couple of buddies with you.
Does like games like Gears of War and Halo count? Because those you don't take a specific character, but you do play.
It's like you play Gears of War. Gears of War, you play as Dom or whoever is Marcus Phoenix's buddy at the time, and then for that, I think that's great. I always put that one up as an example. Yes, and the way Halo does it, where essentially you may not be playing, anybody specific. A lot of times you just see but you're still playing like a Master Chief type of character. And you're going through the campaign. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Because it gives me the one thing that is missing from that full-on arena multiplayer, which is a focus and a direction. Rather than just blowing the shit out of everybody for 50,000 hours, which I find boring. We're going in this direction. We're beating the game together. We're getting all the secrets. We're doing all that shit together. I like that better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting story progression together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. I'm actually gonna dump a new question in here right now because it's actually related to this. This is Jarrell Johnson. He goes, I want to know what you guys think about not being able to 100%, to get 100% trophies or achievements because you have to do certain things in multiplayer. Oh, I hate multiplayer trophies.
Multiplayer trophies are horrible.
I always avoid them. If your game has one
time trials.
But the thing is, it's like, okay, if you avoid them, then you can't get 100%. That's the problem. You know?
Yeah, I just avoid those.
You avoid those games?
If I see that there's multiplayer trophies in your game, then I'll be like, nope, I'm not playing it. Simple as. It's like, cool, I'm not gonna get the trophies then, because I'm just not gonna be like in the mood to do so. Because it's bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, I noticed that that's only the 5th question we've answered, so we got to step up a little bit here. Next up, Mr. Black Metal Gamer. Okay, he goes, have you ever heard about a game called Danger Zone? It's a Burnout spiritual successor made by Alex Ward and Fiona Perry, former developers from Criterion. What are your thoughts on the game? Are you excited? Hey, if it's made by the people who made fucking Burnout, hell yeah, I've been asking for Burnout for fucking years, and nobody's giving me a Burnout.
That's their new one. That's their new one.
Man, like, what happened is Criterion, they started making the Need for Speed games. Those games are good, don't get me wrong, but they're not Burnout, man. They're not fucking Burnout. So if this Danger Zone gives me that fucking Burnout feel, give me that shit. Fuck that. I'm getting tired of this shit. Every time I play a racing game, I'm like, this isn't Burnout, man. Like I'm on that level now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. I keep asking for a fucking steak sandwich. They keep giving me chicken sandwiches. I like chicken, but I want that fucking steak sandwich, man.
Oh my God, why could I not find a trailer for this game?
I know.
I'm already excited, but I'm not finding anything.
Yeah, Danger Zone. I don't know, man. But
it's
what you say it is, man. I'm fucking hyped. Let's go. The next question here. This is an interesting one. If you could have any Hollywood director or producer collaborate with a game dev to make a special new IP, who would you choose? He goes, I'd like to see Quentin Tarantino work with Suda 51 or maybe Martin Scorsese with Rockstar for something groundbreaking. Yeah, you know what I want? I want Steven Spielberg to work with Microsoft to make a kind of block puzzle game. That would be amazing. I don't want to see.
Nobody
knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
I still have that game for the Wii.
Go ahead, guys. What dream collaborations do you want? I'll go down the line.
I want to see.
Oh, actually, who started talking?
I did.
Brett.
Go ahead, Brett. You started talking. You go.
I want to see Hollywood keep their dick out of video games.
I agree. Fuck that shit.
I'm gonna have to agree.
Get the hell out of my games, man.
Get out
Sorry.
of my games. Get out of my cookie jar.
I'd like.
You want to know what?
And Kojima.
Guillermo del Toro and Kojima. There you go.
Guillermo del Toro, Kojima,
and then collaborate on a horror game.
Yeah, you watch what happens to that game. Nothing. I'm sorry. It's cool. It theoretically should make sense, right? Having Guillermo del Toro or any other director because they're so visually inclined, but at the same time it's a totally different language, and I feel like obviously if you have two people together, one guy could fill in what the other is thinking, or one. But I think if you remember what the Silent Hills was, it was really mostly controlled by Kojima. I think that Guillermo del Toro was very integral in part of the design of it, but I don't think he was like, oh no, this is what you do. I don't think it's that.
Yeah, but I'm not caught up with Brett on this one. It's like I don't really
just keep out of my games. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the problem is you're the director in a video game. You're controlling the camera. Mm-hmm. You're controlling the action and the pacing and all of this. Like, if you're talking about like putting a director in hands of that, like it would be a very cinematic game, but it'd be more like what was that game? Dragon's Lair?
No, it wouldn't. Because think about it, Kojima's a very cinematic type of video game director, and those games aren't like fucking No,
he's a video game director. There's a difference between, as Manny said, it's a completely different language.
Yeah, it's a different language.
The only way to see the strengths of a movie director is if you took control away from the player.
What about a producer? I know who Chris wants as a producer. He wants Avi Arad for one of these games, right, Chris?
Oh God, no. if somebody even gave me it as a gift, I would snap it and flush it down the toilet. That's what I think of as garbage.
I think in general it's like, okay, I'm cool with the director being a part of the the mindset of the game, or like, part of part of coming up with the idea of the game, but it really just needs to be the game director that is in full control of the game, because they understand gameplay, they understand what all the different parts of the game has to do. I mean, obviously, Guillermo del Toro will probably make the most impressive looking, cool looking CG, game cinematics, but at the same time, it'll just be that. It'll just be really pretty cinematics, and then some gameplay. The order for some people.
Oh.
And Suda 50. I mean, and Suda 51 and
Quentin Tarantino.
And Quentin Tarantino. I don't know about that. I think you need a guy who has a little bit of a stronger. I mean, Suda 51 makes very interesting games, but he doesn't make very well playing games.
By the way, Brett just informed me that Danger Zone is nothing but crashing. There's no racing. What's the point?
Yeah.
So it's essentially
Giving you what you want, just a crashing.
No,
It's Burnout
like
without the racing?
Yeah, no,
it's Demolition Derby. Demolition Derby.
Remember the later iterations of Burnout had crash mode? Think about just that without the rest of the Burnout game, and you've got Danger Zone.
No, I like that, but I like the racing too.
Yeah,
like no racing game controlled exactly like Burnout. That's the other part of the reason I
want
love
that
so
too
much.
much, Tony. Too much.
Yeah, Tony wants too much with a game that was released 12, 15, I don't even know how many years ago.
Isn't that every Nintendo fan though? They're still obsessed with old shit.
At least Nintendo does the service of like rehashing the same warm leftovers. Like, so you'll be like, man, I wish I could have that pot pie again. Well, you can, and we're gonna change very little about it. Okay. I mean, Mario Kart.
I just realized, it's been like 9 years since Burnout Paradise. Oh my god,
I love that game.
That's one of the best racing games I've ever played in my life.
Did you ever get that trophy where you had to get that perfect park?
I got that platinum, motherfucker.
Oh, you did it.
Let me tell you how hardcore I got. I bought a camera. Just so I can get that one trophy. I bought that PlayStation.
Did you need a PlayStation camera? You couldn't just plug in any old camera?
I mean, I didn't have any.
You can just plug in a web.
I didn't have any webcams at that point. This was 2008. I didn't have any of that shit, So I was like, fuck it. I can't get 100% without this camera. I went to GameStop. I bought that fucking camera. That was That was a game I played with a lot of friends. We'd get online and help each other get trophies and shit.
Yeah, I think that's still on. I think the server's still on.
Going back to multiplayer, that's the shit I like. I loved, getting together with my friends, helping each other get trophies in multiplayer games. That shit was cool. We were just like trying to help each other out.
Again, here's the thing, the goal. There was a goal there.
And Manny, what happened as soon as we met those goals? That's it. We're done with that game.
Dropped it. Yeah.
That's it. Like a bad habit, because I don't have this like need inside me to like, I need to dominate and kill people. It's like I'm pretty sure of myself. I don't lack self-confidence that I need to go online and start killing people to feel better about myself.
Hey, whoa! Now, just because I enjoy spanking noobs in Souls Invasions does not mean I have any like.
I wasn't talking about you, bro.
I'm not questioning.
You're talking about me. That's it. I get it. I get it. You giving me jabs. You giving me jabs.
That's how I feel. I'm like, really, you need to like make yourself feel better by beating the guys online. Like,
no, it's just I like beating.
Adam's just like,
Yo, man, the same applies for the wrestling games. Wrestling games are the same thing. If I learned all the moves, all the techniques, all the reversals, and I go online and I spank somebody and he rage quit, or if I did in FIFA, that's it. That's it. I'm happy. I don't care. You go ahead, rage quit playing your reggaeton. I get it.
And Adam has his way of doing that. Like I remember when we were playing games together, he'd be whipping my ass in one of those video games. But look at I'm like, oh fuck.
Okay, I will admit that I was that guy in Street Fighter, Dead or Alive, and Warcraft. I made several players break their keyboards.
There you go. You put in the time to learn the skills. Come on now.
But the thing about when Adam beats you in one of those games, so he makes you laugh when you're doing it. So you're just like, what am I gonna do? This is just
That's it.
For evil Chris.
Yeah, Manny, I remember that, man. Yo, let me
He
tell you
is
guys.
the only time I fucking raged. I threw the controller at him. I said, "Fuck you, man," because this asshole was cheating.
Well, and like the thing I found hilarious is like even Chris, who's generally more of like a cooperative guy, like somebody invades in Dark Souls and like he's immediately like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this motherfucker." Like it's hilarious how sometimes you put people in these weird competitive situations where like normally they're not really competitive and they're like, but man, somebody bleeds in your world in Dark Souls and like Chris's eyes start glowing red and he gets this bloodlust, just beelines off at the level to go murder somebody.
It is true. I'm like, it's like, oh boy, Christmas, and I just go off.
That's funny. Anyway, let's move on here. G Megaforce with his epically long questions. Okay, so he goes, is Nintendo, this is an interesting question, but let me finish it first. Is Nintendo holding back third-party support on purpose to sell first-party titles? People always say Nintendo needs strong third-party titles for a console to be successful, and many wrote off the Switch because its lack of its third-party support, lack thereof. The Switch is doing really well, but what is most surprising is how strong the first-party titles are selling. Zelda has over 100% attach rate after 3 days in the market. Mario Kart 8 already hit a 45% attach rate. The PS4 has an install base that is about 20 times bigger, and Xbox 10 times bigger than the Switch. Yet the Switch has games that are outselling multi-plat titles from both of those consoles combined. 1-2 Switch, a game with poor critical reception, is charting in multiple territories and outselling games like Horizon and Nier Automata, again on a console with a 20 times install base. The question is, could it be that Nintendo is holding back third-party support in order to maximize their sales potential in the software market? Could it be that third-party games would have served as a distraction from Nintendo's own titles? Does this explain the gap in the Switch releases? I know from a consumer perspective, this seems like a crazy thing to do, but from the business side, it seems genius, incredibly risky, but genius. And so far, it seems as if the gamble is paying off. What are your thoughts? All right, first of all, Nintendo Switch, most of the games on Nintendo Switch are third party, so I don't understand what you're kind of getting at here. Like
they're actually embracing third party more than they have in a very long time.
Yeah,
If I were to
party-ish. Like I never seen
take a
Nintendo
guess,
before.
he's
Go ahead.
talking about AAA third-party games.
Okay, I'm gonna stop the show right now because this annoys me. It's like not okay. I hate it when people only count AAA games. You got to count the entire thing, man. And those little indie games, even though they're dirt fucking old, they still count. They're third party. So we can't just say just AAA, you know? Like,
well,
thank you for
what do you expect for a new system other than ports of older games? I mean, that's
look at the PlayStation 4. Look at the PlayStation 4, same thing. Most of those fucking games in the beginning were ports.
Here's the thing about development. A lot of obviously a lot of times what happens, especially with these newer things, is that there needs to be a lot more lead time to make the new titles. So in general, the reason why you're seeing a lot of the same games over again is because it's kind of an easy cash grab. It's like a game that's already proven itself. It's already pretty much paid for itself. What's porting it to another console going to do?
Yeah,
make more money.
But I think that the question,
selling an older game at a full price. Now that's a bit of a questionable situation.
I don't know, man. Like, Disgaea sold 140,000 copies in North America, and the pre-orders in the Switch are already over 110,000. So there's actually like, it's going to be on a game-by-game basis. It's never going to be for a Call of Duty, but there are types of AAA games. Like, I would be surprised if down the road we didn't see a Persona game make it to.
There is a Persona game that's coming, but I think it's a Muto.
No, it's a Shimigami Tensei game.
Yeah, it's a Shimigami
Tensei. Not necessarily Persona.
One thing I do.
Well, it is. Here's the thing. It's all the same universe, anyways. I mean, it's only till recently they stopped calling them Shimigami Tensei. Like they've always been calling them from the previous games. It's always been Persona Shimigami Tensei. So there's still Shimigami Tensei games. They're just not called it anymore.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. That's what I wanted to say. So basically, he's asking why are these games selling more on Switch than they are on other consoles? because there's not that much to buy on Switch, man. That's pretty simple. We've explained this a million times. That's why these games like Brett just said, the Sky is about to sell almost as much as it did on PlayStation, because there's nothing to play on Switch.
Well, it's not just that. Like, there's the idea that, and there's a certain kind of game too, which a game that's generally too small for a full living room experience, that fits really well in this. It's one of the reasons I haven't gotten around to playing Shovel Knight, and I probably one of the reasons I haven't gotten around to playing the Sky, and I'm really excited about it now, is the idea I can just pick it up, dive into a battle, and put it down at kind of a moment's notice. There's portability sells a lot of people on smaller games, and with good reason. If you're going to be tied into your living room on your big fucking fancy couch, like, why not just have a ridiculously powered PC or console running the best possible experience if you can? Like, some of these smaller games, like, they fit better into an ecosystem where, like, oh, that's good for the train ride, oh, it's good for car trips, oh, it's good for lunch break, or it's good for after school, or whatever. Like, that idea does have a tendency to sell games, and there's enough interest that developers are actually starting. The third-party developers are looking harder at Nintendo than they have since the days of the GameCube. You saw a lot of developers, like, the Nintendo 64 is actually, in my opinion, when things started to go kind of sideways for them. So I don't think they're intentionally holding off third-party developers. In fact, I think you're seeing more interest from them than you've seen in a long time, which is kind of remarkable and staggering and weird, because this is uncharted waters. We've never seen, like, an entire community turn their back on somebody as much as everybody did on Nintendo. There were several people who were loyal. I was not one of them, who stood by Nintendo the whole time. But for the most part, like, general community just disregarded them, and a lot of developers did. You're seeing people come back into the fold. It's a weird thing, and I don't know what to make of it. Like, if you ask me to pull up my crystal ball and tell you what's going to happen, I could tell you what I'd like to see happen, but I have no idea where the fuck we go from here. I didn't think we would see EA making a comment about, like, oh, we're going to doggedly pursue the development on the Switch. Like, really? You guys just change your tune that hard, that fast? Okay, whatever.
We'll see. I want to see what they bring.
Take it with a giant fucking grain of salt, but generally you're seeing, actually, like I said, more interest from third party than you really have in a long time. Am I wrong? Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong on this.
It's still the early stages of the Switch.
Yeah.
I think that, just like the Wii U, the third parties are going to jump on. But if the Switch doesn't sell, those third parties are going to jump ship just like they did with the Wii U. So right now, don't take this all like, oh, this is assured now. Look at all these third parties. Think about it like this. The fucking Wii U launched with way more games than the fucking Switch did, and it had a lot of big AAA third parties, right? Because everybody was, assured that, hey, this is going to be like the Wii all over again. It wasn't, and look what happened. All those guys jumped ship. The exact same thing could happen with the Switch.
I just saw an infographic that showed that, like, they came out with generally lower rated games. Like, there were more of them, but they were lower quality, and there was a lot of trash.
We're not talking about ratings or quality. We're talking about the amount, And, I mean, Batman wasn't a low-rated game. Mass Effect 3 wasn't a low-rated game. Those were all on the Wii U. And did they sell? No, they didn't.
That's true.
Chris, what were you gonna say?
Well, the positioning is a little worse this time, because it was around 2013 where most publishers jumped ship and it was like done with the Wii U and not making anything else. See, Nintendo has to get those guys back into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the Wii, they were all on board, right? And that's why the Wii U launched with 23 titles, right? And they were mostly AAA, and they didn't sell. So by 2013, when that was happening, the system was just flatlining. EA, Activision, 2013 was the year they all jumped ship. They haven't really jumped back on the ship. They're just testing it, So,
that's what a lot of a lot of those games are, that they're kind of rehashing, like why we're seeing Rayman Legends on there again.
Well, that's why you're doing so many Steam games.
That's them dipping their toe back in, but not fully committing. It's not a new title; it's an old title with some new shit, maybe some new pieces added to it.
So you won't get EA and Activision back on board unless the Switch has market share, right? That's the only thing they care about. So So Nintendo needs to look at the indie guys and give them whatever they need, and encourage them to get into their ecosystem and make games, because that's besides lifting everything on their own shoulders with first party, which they have been stumbling. They've dropped the ball. Think about how many delays they had on the Wii U, especially at the end of his life. Like Star Fox Zero was heavily delayed. Zelda took forever. Even Captain Toad didn't make it out, when they said it would. Like they've not been able to meet their release dates for their own first-party titles, except for ports. So it's too hard for them to lift this on their own shoulders. They need to really embrace the indie community and whoever else they could get on in there. And then so they grow their market share, and then EA goes, hey, you know what? Okay, so we'll give you something else,
Yeah, it's kind of a cop-out, and a very lucky thing that this happened when it did, because all of a sudden in the last few years, you've had an entirely new development ecosystem of indie game developers kind of start up, and that's who Nintendo is tapping for this, because they've burned their bridges with a lot of other developers. So, I mean, honestly, if we didn't have, a cadre of tried and true proven Steam games that could be ported over into the Switch, like, we would be having a very different discussion.
Yeah. All right. Moving on here. This is an interesting question here. He goes, will video games, he puts that in quotes, be dangerous to society in the future? There is so much talk about the future of VR, AI, robotics, and reality in general. There are some legitimate arguments that as robotics become more useful and intelligent, humans become increasingly irrelevant and useless. Some postulate that with no major obstacles or challenges in life, the human race will struggle to find meaning. So we will need to create challenges, and by plugging ourselves into virtual worlds, we will be able to choose our own struggles. Perhaps you could go back and live the life of a person who fights in World War II, or an X-Wing fighter from Star Wars. The possibilities are limitless. This leads to the question, are humans someday going to prefer living within a virtual world, a video game, as opposed to living in this real world? Will this reality be a bad thing or a good thing? That's a deep shit right there.
I think that people, like, anybody could be given the choice to jump into the Matrix, and some people would choose it, but I think other people want to affect the world in a larger place. They want to, I'm sure Manny creates comic books because he wants to make something. Like, there's a drive for people to create and share things. Now, this could be moved over into a virtual world. Yes, as we spend more and more time, digitally, it's the same thing, the internet. When you're trying to conceptualize the internet 20 years ago, you're like, well, so is it a place you go? Well, kind of, yes, but it doesn't actually exist anywhere other than in the shared mind space of all the computers in the world. So you'll have people creating virtual landscapes and, virtual assets and things like that. But I think that, would we all just kind of let ourselves devolve into a Ready Player One type, dystopian future where you forget completely about the external world? No, I don't think so. If for nothing else, then the very principle of the thing. There are people out there who are too driven to just waste it. I mean, you could say the same thing about TV. Like, TV is dangerous.
I would only disagree, because I think if VR became so viable and so advanced that it's literally like you couldn't tell the difference when you were inside it or outside of it, or it was very close, that people may look at it as a narcotic, because escapism is huge now. Like, look at we have a huge drug problem or whatever. That may be the new thing. That VR could be like heroin for people, except it's not dangerous for you, except that you are now, your body is wasting away as you just sit in this thing.
Yeah, but you could say this. You could say,
yo, man, that's some Johnny Mnemonic stuff we're talking right there.
Well, no, nobody's
Or Wally. Remember Wally?
VR and lose themselves in what we got now. We're way away from that. But I mean, I agree with Brett in that, like, for us, we wouldn't do it. But who knows? I mean, look how many kids can't pull themselves away from a tablet screen. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it may not be us or our grandkids are great. Who knows? But something's coming. Like, a lot of stuff is going to need to change, and a lot of things are going to need to adjust as technology grows, right? And AI is going to be a thing. Maybe in 10, 15 years, where we'll have computers that can think, and quantum computing. So that puts us in a whole new, a whole new paradigm of, like, well, how do you interact with this thing, and what does it do? And then if it can do all these jobs or all this stuff, what do? You know,
You
so
combine with it. I'm a firm believer in that biology and technology are on a crash course, in terms of evolutionary progression. Like, I think that if there are multiple civilizations out in the cosmos, that everyone would follow it. It's like being born from an egg.
Think if that happened like the Matrix, where you can just hook up and then you learn something, there would be no need for school.
Well, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to be AI. It'll be AI augmentation to the human brain that'll allow us to become more. Like, robots aren't going to take over because we'll become the robots that take over.
Well, I mean, that transhumanism is something, but that's going to take a lot of time to get used to. Like I don't think Tony's going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to put these like circuits in my brain or take out my brain, put a brain. Yeah, I mean, it will be dust, but that idea is not going to, for the guys, all of us answering this question and stuff, I think that's a scary proposition, but it's going to come in slowly, but there's going to be leaps in the technology. Like if you look at what's happening with nanotechnology and then DNA editing and all that stuff, there's these huge leaps, right? And then when it starts getting purposed into consumerism, then life is going to change in a huge way.
I mean, we've seen that, like the voice activated,
like Gattaca.
The voice activated cylinders. Like, do you guys? I had this stunning realization the other day when I saw one of those things. It's like the standalone Siri thing for Google or whatever it is. I was
Amazon.
like, yeah, we have literally gotten to the point where we were in old sci-fi shows and we're like, computer, give me the outside temperature. I'd be like, it is 72 degrees outside. It will rain later this afternoon. You're like, all right, and you grab a coat. Like, I remember watching those sci-fi shows and being like, I want a houseboard computer. Like, I want something to be like, like house, open door, house, turn on lights, house, give me the readings for this, house, turn on entertainment sequence 4. Like, all of the cool voice activated, spaceship sci-fi stuff that we always imagine. Like, we can do that shit now. We can hook up that voice activated shit to the lights in our house, to our fucking microwave oven and our coffee maker. We can, lay down in bed and tell a disembodied presence to turn off the lights and set the alarm and please turn on and brew coffee at 6:30.
Hey man, don't sleep on a clamp on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, there's no way I'm hooking up my house to that shit, because the minute some dude in Estonia figures out how to break into my house, set my house on fire with my coffee maker.
And just gotta say this: if you want to
know
know what
Robot, Mr. Robot.
You know what the weather is outside. Check your phone.
Yeah, that's too much. The smart house and smart appliances. Plus, we live in a surveillance state. There's no way I want my fridge and everything to have cameras.
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, and that's, I guess, rounding to my point of the question. Like, I don't think this technology will outpace us necessarily because of our innate fear, and not our fear of the technology itself, but our fear of, like, trust me, before AI turns on us, somebody will turn AI on us. Like, the problem is going to be started at the human level. It's not going to be a Terminator thing where, like, the AI just figures out humans are a plague. It's going to be that somebody programs the AI to think that
we're seeing right now with ransomware. The whole trust of the internet, bank on the internet, do all this stuff on the internet, and now look, this is what's happening. Now we're getting robbed on the internet. Now it's locking your machines out on the internet.
Yeah, now everybody's getting hacked, and it's almost more dangerous to put your information on the internet than it was back in the Wild West days.
Yeah.
Computers will destroy us all.
Yes, Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead,
to
Brian.
answer the guy's question, go outside, look at people you see just on their phones. Like, we already we are already edging towards that reality of, like, people being, like, engulfed in technology. Because, like, you get guys outside that just, like, don't look where they're going and just they're just on their phones like fucking zombies. It's fucking just insane. Like, it really is just really odd. Like, they're either there on their phones or their iPads or their Switches, all 2 million of them. It's terrifying. Yes, Brett, that joke was made for you.
Yeah, I caught that.
But yeah, it is just a terrifying thought, and Yeah, I definitely do think that will happen because I actually have just finished watching an episode of Black Mirror where essentially these guys they hook themselves into like the Matrix when they're about to die, and then they upload themselves into the cloud. It's like that's fucking terrifying. It's cool though, but it's terrifying.
I could see that. I could also see. I would be more inclined to believe in augmented reality. Like everybody wears a set of Google glasses, that you walk down a street that's otherwise kind of run down and shoddy or whatnot, but you pop on, your internet overlay and you can see all the neon signs and all the virtual people who are plugged in from somewhere else. Like, I don't imagine that virtual reality, because you hear people like Tony even talk about it now. Like, I'm obscuring the physical world from my view. Like, I don't think that people like to be left in such a vulnerable state. So I would say you have a better chance of severely augmented reality than full reality. But maybe as they make giant leaps in haptic feedback, the idea that like, wow, I can feel the wind in my face without, risking disease or falling off a cliff, then maybe that'll change. But that would have to be some super good haptic feedback.
All right. Anybody else want to jump in on this?
Answering the question about whether it's good for you or not, it really depends on the person.
Well, what about good for society?
Well, people take things too far. Look at South Korea. I mean, people drop dead from playing MMOs for money and shit,
Hey, maybe they died happy.
It's biologically pushing us. So I can't say like, is it good for the individual? Probably not. Like the average person has to quantify information at a rate much higher than any previous generation. Like you actually look at the information load that humans have had to deal with, like the amount of stuff that people had to learn 400 years ago compared to the amount of sheer information that you deal with on an everyday basis now, is the difference is staggering. And that definitely has negative effects on our health and our well-being and our mentality and things like that. But it could also be, just because you put a species under duress doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for the species. It means that the species adapts, and the ones that are best at those adaptations tend to rise to the top. So purely biologically, as a species, no, it's fine for us. There are going to be people who are less adept at quantifying that much information, and those are going to be the people who, forget to, add this to their phone and miss appointments, or, it's people like me who don't integrate technology as well into our lives, and then we're the people that are going to slowly pay for that. But society is better for it. It doesn't mean I'm better for it because I can't figure out how to make a fucking iPad work. Like, am I better for that? No. But is society better for that? In general, yeah, because it means that people are generally being born smarter than they were before, or at least being trained more and to harness more brain power. It's they have more information being processed through development, so they're developing to be able to handle more information. So in a way, we're kind of driving towards making our evolving through biological pressure. Did that go too deep?
Nah, I mean, it's a deep fucking question, so it was bound to happen. All right, man, let's move on here. Vishal Thind. Now, before he asks his questions, he has a couple of things he wants to say to us. He goes, "Hi, what's up, everyone on Throwdown? How's it going? I started listening when I think that PewDiePie thing was going on. I thought, okay, cool. Dudes talk about video games on the internet with no drama. We have almost every gaming journalist covering the surface of gaming news. But what I really like about the show is that you guys go deep into the story, especially Chris with his Nintendo research. The things Chris covers about Nintendo, I can't find anywhere on the internet because no one goes that deep into Nintendo news. That's why I say keep doing what you do. I appreciate it. Even though everyone on the show disagrees with Brett on his opinions on Switch, I still like his way of looking at things, game, Switch, and the industry. As you guys were discussing on the last episode about the handheld market, I don't think it'll suddenly vanish in the next few years because hardcore gamers will always be there. But the handheld market is going downhill at one point. Its user base won't be sufficient enough for publishers and developers to make games for that shrinking user base. I think that will be the main problem and downfall for handhelds. To Carlos, I want to say an iconic villain is coming back again to Dragon Ball Super episode 93. Get ready. All right, thank you for
I know what he's talking about too, man.
Yeah, we're not gonna get deep into that, but yeah, thank you for the comments. We
Freezer?
appreciate that.
It better not be Freezer, because fuck that guy. I've had enough of him. Already, like,
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything, but it's gonna cause some controversy.
Oh,
It's like-
I
like a new
I don't
form.
need to. I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna say? The rumor is it's gonna be a female. What? It's already been spoiled.
No, it
I haven't
hasn't.
watched it yet.
Oh, by the way, Tony, it's not that.
It's not that. Okay.
No.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. I thought it was already spoiled months ago.
What?
No,
who-
this is
you know,
this
this
hasn't.
shit is still new on Toonami, right? Like
Look-
this, to like 90% of like TV watching audiences. They're
Listen,
like
I know how
80
fucking
episodes behind you.
I know how Naruto ends thanks to the internet. That's just the way these things go. You know.
Yeah,
so
like
what? You're gonna be a part of the fucking problem? Shut the fuck up!
But I didn't say anything.
I said shut up.
Yeah. Well, that's not what Carlos said. But the point is, like, if you're watching anime on like Toonami, you're gonna get your shit spoiled. It's happened to me plenty of times. That's just the way it is. You know.
I've been just fine.
I had a specific moment in the new Guardians of the Galaxy of spoiled because for some fucking fan art, I wanted to punch that idiot in the head.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. I guess in case somebody doesn't know, people are going around. Oh yeah, Boruto. I'm like, who the fuck is that? Oh fuck you motherfuckers! Now I know how Naruto ends. You know.
I
That's just the
mean, was
way
it
is.
gonna end any other way though?
I guess. At least he
Stick
got
your head in the sand. Like I know nothing about that, dude.
Brett, what do I do for a living?
Well, okay, like, but
I live on Twitter gathering information, man. I can't avoid this stuff. You know.
I guess that's true. Like I know nothing about the new season of Attack on Titan still.
Yeah, I don't know how I.
Neither do I.
Yeah, I'm glad. I don't know how.
Yo,
I'm caught
All
up.
you can know is
I've
that
been
it's
watching
good.
every Saturday, man.
Yo, this season, man. Oh my god.
But anyway, let's get to this man's questions. He goes,
Carlos, you don't even know.
Oh, Brian's
All right, come on, guys. Let's get to the questions here. He goes, I was doing research and found out that one of the reasons Microsoft dropped the original Xbox so quickly was Nvidia not wanting to drop the price of the GPU in it. With PS3, Sony was having a hard time dropping its price because Nvidia were being difficult with dropping the price of the RSX GPU. This could be the he goes, this could be the reason why both MS and Sony went with AMD this generation. Sony had to cut costs in other places, and we got the first PS3 Slim. He goes, if true, based on what he just said, will Nintendo Switch also face the same problems because it uses an Nvidia Tegra chip? This is for the tech guys.
Microsoft was going to buy AMD, and I think they're still thinking about buying it.
But the point is, like, okay, if Microsoft and Sony had problems with Nvidia, is Nintendo going to have problems with them too?
I don't think so, because this is not like really a mainline GPU that they're using. They're using the Tegra, and the Tegra's already past the X1, and they have the custom X1. But they still have things they could do to optimize it and shrink the die and then lower the voltage, and then the cost drops. So I don't see them having the same problem. They're not using any edge hardware. They're not using a full Pascal chip, which then they would run into huge problems. The Switch would be triple the price if they were using something akin to the 10 series, right? But they're not.
Yeah, but I also may have to eat my words here. Like if they had used similar technology developed by AMD, they might be able to have lowered the price on the Switch and gotten it to a cheaper point than it is now.
Oh yeah, for sure. NVIDIA stuff is more expensive, like overall. Like,
but also let's not forget that Nintendo has a little bit of a what do they call it? Yeah, they have vendetta sometimes when it comes to using things that other companies are using.
Well,
They want to do it.
You remember how you know how all their televisions were all Samsung televisions whenever
well,
they
no,
would
they
put
didn't
out
have
the
a
thing.
beef with AMD. I mean, AMD has been making their graphics stuff for the last 3 generations. It's GameCube, they did it. Silicon Graphics did N64, but AMD did, GameCube, Wii, and Wii U, and now they've jumped to Nvidia. Nvidia must have offered them something, or made some kind of deal. I don't know what it was for them to jump ship.
You will use our Tegra chip because we have because it's a piece of shit and they can't use it for anything else. We'll give it to you for a high price.
Is the Tegra? I don't know much about the Tegra chip. Is it
Tegra.
Is it decent?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know anyone who bought a Shield console or the Shield handheld, or it was manufactured mainly with the idea of using it in just like basic machinery and like that kind of stuff, not really for gaming, like hospital machines and that kind of stuff. I think that's where Nvidia was looking to market this to. And it was just interesting that they took it and they made their own console out of it. And it was like, oh yeah, this can game also. So that was, but I don't think they originally intended to do that, because they had their whole GeForce line. They had going full Pascal and the PC line. So it's interesting that they took this chip, which I don't think they originally intended it to be a gaming platform, and then went and made a gaming platform and tablets out of it, and then it became sort of viable.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah, the Tegra is actually like a cool piece of kit. Like in terms of how powerful it is for its size, it's like wow, this is pretty. It's pretty decent. So like it's in terms of equivalent power, it's roughly like the PS3 level of power in like a single chip, which is fucking phenomenal if you think about it. Because what the PS3 like came out 2007 was it?
2006.
Well, it's either
still,
that sorry, no, it's either that the Tegra is phenomenal or Power PC was way past its prime. Like, I'm surprised they didn't bury that sooner.
Tegra.
All right. His next question. He just wants us to remark on the two pieces of Halo news that came out this week. The first one is the head of 343 Industries left the team to work with mixed reality.
Well, yeah, because he got tired of fucking making Halo games. That's why.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
So many of those that you can make.
Listen. That what is 343? They should have just called that fucking studio Halo.
The Halo studio, yeah. I mean, hell, Bungie left Microsoft because they didn't want to make any more Halo games. A whole company left.
Yeah. So I mean, that's why he left. He said, listen, I'm not interested in making any more Halo games. I've already made 2. I'm good. Can we make another new game?
Didn't Ryan Payton leave them too?
People forget how many years it.
Development. The reason why Ryan Payton left, and it's been a bunch of different little things, and he doesn't talk too much about it, but it was really because Microsoft was not willing to let him have the reins and do the thing that he wanted to do something, push the story about a lot more and do something different with it a little bit. So that's why Halo 3 is kind of that.
That is you, Brian, making that weird noise.
Oh, my bad.
I told y'all.
You killing bugs?
My intuition's right.
Yeah, you just got lucky, Carlos.
Okay, so it's the reason why, like for Ryan Payton, they wouldn't let him have the Halo franchise, like really have it. They wanted him because he worked on Metal Gear, but they didn't really want him to. They just wanted him to kind of do some story shit and then make and then essentially make a to the numbers Halo game, and that's exactly what that first 343 Halo game is. It's a by the numbers Halo game, and it really doesn't do a good job at being it either.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? I really don't. I didn't even know about this, and I don't really care.
Well, I mean, it's
kind of a big deal.
Well, it is a big deal to all the Halo fans, but everybody nailed it on the head. Like, I heard somebody say, you don't realize how long it takes to develop. You're like, yeah, like these games can take several years to develop. So, like after you've done 2, like, well, I've invested almost 10 years of my life into this. Do I want it to be 15, or do I want to do something else with my career? And generally speaking, when you get these kinds of positions, like you got what 20, maybe 25 years before you're out of the game. You have a finite amount of time, and you want to look at like, does my legacy just want to be Halo forever, or and to some people that's fine, but there are some people, creatives in particular, who want to make something, and this is supposed to be a stepping stone. So. And there's been so many hands in the pot with Halo that it's just been watered down, and it's become an Egger suit of what it used to be. With EA being the big bug monster on the inside. it's yeah, you guys get my point.
Yeah.
Like, it's been divvied up and stapled back together that it's a Frankenstein of what it used to be, and there's very few people around who still carry any real amount of passion for the project. So it's just a bunch of people working by the numbers to make a game by the numbers, to sell by the numbers so they can get paid. And it will probably stay that way until the people who were first inspired by Halo grow up to develop games for themselves. And then you'll see kind of a resurgence of people being like, man, Halo defined me as a kid. I'm going to bring that kind of love and dedication back to the franchise. That's another 10 years off, though. So yeah, it's gotten down to the point where it's watered down so much it's falling apart, and they'd be smart to kind of retire it and for a few years and let it build up some good graces and some nostalgia before they kept pushing more of it back out.
It's like, hey, you know what game was really cool? Halo. We should make a new one of those.
Yes, wait until that happens. Wait until anybody ever says that, and then you go ahead and pull the cord.
Man. All right.
Just wait until somebody has to go, hey, remember that game Halo? And then hit the big red button.
It's kind of like, I feel like it's like that with the World War II Call of Duty game. Where it's like, hey, remember when they used to make those games? Those World War II Call of Duty games. Why aren't they doing that anymore? Push the button. Boop.
Right. And then he wants to know what we think about the announcement that Halo 6 will not be shown at E3 this year.
Good.
Here's my theory. I don't think Halo 6 is going to be shown, but I think something Halo related will be shown at E3.
Oh God, please no. Spin-offs are never good.
The Halo company now, man.
This game is
cool. A lot of people are talking about the Halo 3 anniversary edition, which
do we really need that? Was that game that good? Come on, guys.
Didn't they remaster it with the Master Chief Collection?
No, that one didn't really get touched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, they're gonna also they just ported it. Yeah.
It didn't get the Halo 1 anniversary treatment.
I'll be honest. Does anyone care that Halo is not being shown at E3?
No. I'm happy because I want them to show different things. Like they have to show something. And it's,
what game they're gonna show? You know what game they're gonna show? Cortana. It's just a game called Cortana, and it tells her story.
God, you joke. I could see that being a reality. Like, the whole game takes place in cyberspace, and it'd be a quasi-stealth, or it'd be an action game with stealth elements.
Yep, there you go, Cortana.
You hack computers from the inside. Oh God, Cortana. I should be saying this. I'm gonna give somebody an idea.
Yeah. I guess we don't really have much to say about Halo, whatever. All right. Next up here, Salazar Naruto 520. All right.
Salazar.
So he goes, what game has your favorite soundtrack of all time? Mine used to be Chrono Trigger, but Nier Automata has taken that honor. Very interesting. That's a new game too.
Nier's got a very, very good sound. Well, here's the thing: all the Nier games have really, really good soundtracks. Even going back to Nier and even the Drakengard games, because it has the same composer. Really, like it. The soundtrack for that game is better than it should be for those games.
Interesting.
It's like you kind of expected. All right, but no, it's actually it's one of those soundtracks that kind of expands the scope of the game, where it sounds a bit bigger than it actually is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Maybe since you're talking,
favorite soundtrack of all time for a video game. I want to go with the Metal Gear Solid 3 soundtrack.
Yeah, that's a good. I knew you were going to say that.
I think that has a lot of fun. I mean, when the one thing about you would say with that game, it's like, oh well, there's not a lot of music in it. There actually is. It's just a lot of it is just ambience, like birds and stuff chirping. But the one thing about it is that when music does come into the game, that's when you notice it the most. Where it's like when the cinematics come in, or when you're climbing the ladder.
Yeah. There's a bunch of games, so I'm just going to name the first one that just popped up. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Every radio station was a fucking winner on that because it was all 80s music. It was fantastic. And a special acknowledgement to Brutal Legend. Great soundtrack.
Great soundtrack
on that.
Hotline Miami for me.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Oh, that was awesome.
Now, Adam,
Really
since you're talking,
Yeah, Hotline Miami and the original Quake, Trent Reznor, Nine Inch Nails.
Ooh, Nine Inch Nails, yeah, man. There you go. All right, Chris, get in here, man.
I was gonna say it's the first Metal Gear Solid because of all the orchestral stuff,
Ooh,
and that's the
yes.
first time I'd heard anything like that because that was like one of the first experiences I had on PlayStation.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
even Final Fantasy didn't have music like that. I know
Yeah.
somebody was gonna hate me for that, but I don't care. Metal Gear Solid
real.
blew
Keep
me
it real.
away.
But yeah, Final Fantasy really didn't have any orchestrated music until maybe 8, and it was only during the soundtrack,
Yeah.
the cinematics.
Yeah, and all that music fit with the game so much. It set such a good mood. Like every part of Shadow Moses was represented in
Man,
that
that's some
music.
facts right there, man. That soundtrack was crazy. By the way, speaking about soundtracks that made you go, holy shit, that soundtrack was awesome. The first game that made me feel that was Super Metroid. When you heard that soundtrack, you're like, this sounds like a fucking movie. This is crazy, you know?
And I have that little like do 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 do
Yeah.
do.
And then remember,
Yeah.
it was crazy ass fucking soundtrack. All right, Carlos, man, what you got?
Halo definitely is one of them. I don't know if this is in the Halo one, but the that build up.
Yeah, isn't that when you first get onto the on the beach on one of the Halos on the actual Halo?
Well, I know in Halo 3, like when you're on the Warthog, that pops up. I'm not sure.
No, I think he's saying that's like from the first Halo game.
Yeah, like I think that's like that specific part resonates. Like it's on all the Halos. Like it's like one of the main themes that they use on all of them. That and Dio sent a video. He linked me on Twitter about this Persona 5 concert. Yo, like I was like, yo, this is like I didn't really pay attention to it that much playing the game, but it's actually pretty good.
No, the soundtrack to Persona is really very cool. Like everything about that game is cool.
Yes,
like
yes.
The menus are cool. And the menus are cool. The music is cool. I love the intro song. You know, it's fun.
By the way, the music to Persona 4 was really fucking good too.
Yeah,
you know.
You know the like I kind of like that the games are kind of getting a little bit more renowned because they've always been stellar titles Persona series. So it's nice to see that with each new incarnation that it's kind of gotten better and better,
bigger
and better.
Brian, man, what you got?
I have a mix of ones. I'd say a mix between God of War 3 specifically. I thought that had a really good soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
Infamous 2, I thought that had a underrated soundtrack as well. And hey, look, would you notice that I'm naming PS3 exclusive games?
Isn't that something?
Yes. And Doom, like the new one. I don't know what it is, but that soundtrack
Doom, yes, Chris, I know you can vouch for that too, man.
Yeah, that was
amazing. That guy was from
Sweden or somewhere, or Australia, one of those.
The first studio that worked on KI. He was responsible for the music Killer Instinct, which is very metal. So the Doom had a great soundtrack.
Yeah, that was a fucking amazing soundtrack, man. All right, Brett, what you got?
Let's see. Honorable mentions would be I have to throw the Souls games in there just because
I was gonna say that too. Yeah,
it's very noticeable. Like I actually had I heard my PlayStation turn on from the other room. Like I had turned it on, walked into the other room, and I'd forgotten I had left Souls up, and like that Souls screen came on with like the and I immediately I was like a wolf that smelled a deer on the wind. I was like, what? Like, and it's weird when something cuts that. It's definitely a Pavlovian reaction, and so I don't know if that says something about the game or about the music or both, but yeah, it's worth bringing up. I love the soundtrack for Fallout 4. No matter how many times I heard some of those songs, I couldn't help but think about just how apt they were and how the theme of ruin and death and post-apocalyptia is very subtly kind of woven through all of them if you care to take a notice. But I think my absolute favorite soundtrack of all time would be Jet Grind Radio.
Ooh, that's a good
nice.
one right there.
Is it before they added the Rob
Yes.
Zombie songs?
It was the original soundtrack to the original Dreamcast game.
That's the shit
By,
right there.
by the way, Brett, that Ink Spot song for Fallout 3, the I don't want to set the world down.
Yes.
I love that so much, man. Like, you don't understand how much I fucking love how that song in the context of the universe of that world is just so perfect, man.
Doesn't it sound like this? Doesn't it sound like this? I don't want to set the
Yes.
world
Yeah.
down.
Or it's
There's one that's it's all over but the crying. And like do you know what the song I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like that song always strikes me as really hard. It just, again, involving the context. Like, yeah, there's good songs, but then the way that they play them up thematically with the context of the universe, like, I think is just, it's brilliant, and it sets such a great tone, in my opinion. So
Yes.
yeah, you gotta love the Fallout soundtrack.
You know what I like doing with that kind of 1930s or 20s voice? I like singing like modern songs with that. Load up on guns, bring your friends along.
It's, by the way, speaking about that song, the very first, like Fallout was the first time I heard it like all the way through, right? But that beginning part, I always heard it in a Megadeth song, right? The song was called "Set the World on Fire," right? So it's like, I don't want to set the world on fire. You hear a nuke, like, yes. So I finally get to hear. Here's the funny thing about those songs from Fallout: they're all real songs, because you hear the lyrics like, "We're making this shit up." There's one in Fallout 4, a fucking cannibal. The guy's talking about he's chopping up women, eating them. That's a real song, like,
well, it's all, I mean, the back in those days,
chopping
they
that
were,
meat.
like, you would think that these people would be like, oh, well, these things are horrible. No, it wasn't until the 50s they started to kind of censor, stuff.
Yeah.
People could write really fucked up shit, just make it a happy song.
It's kind of funny because I was like, man, yo, these guys like did a really good job recreating songs. No, they're all real songs.
A lot of the ones in BioShock Infinite, all those background songs are also real songs too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
some
they
of
did a
them-
really good job in finding them all.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't even know how you track down some of these songs.
Remember, what did Red Dead Redemption Runaway Train? When you get to Mexico,
Yeah,
riding runaway train.
I like the music in Mexico too. It felt very, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There was the one great thing about Red Dead was the dynamic soundtrack that game had, where it would every single song had the kind of same tempo, so that they could either add things like singing on top of it. So like the action music would just kind of ramp up, or then it would just kind of peel itself down when you're kind of, in the deserts and stuff like that. And it was just constantly adding, it will always, depending on areas that you went in, it would always add additional parts to the songs, which is pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. Moving on here. And he goes, I love your content. Keep it up. You damn right we will.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Mr. Sean Watson. He goes, by the way, I had to tell this to Sean on Twitter. I'm like, yo, my man, we appreciate, you leaving us questions, but you need to form them in the form of questions. he just ranted basically. So he goes, the first one is, I've noticed a ton of downplaying on the Xbox's mid-gen refresh of Scorpio. The most notable being nobody has a 4K TV. I think people underestimate the power gamers have in the tech space. Gamers push a ton of innovations to the mainstream. I remember when the original Xbox dropped and Seamus Blackley and Jay Allard went against Bill Gates' demand of a 56K modem being present. There was only a broadband jack on the OG Xbox. The OG Xbox was one of the leading cogs in broadband subs going up at a rapid pace, just as Sony was the main console in DVD players being pushed forward. Game consoles should never be stagnant to the here and now. They should always strive to push in some capacity. So,
I can respond to that though by saying that right now game developers are not really pushing 4K. So it's the substance isn't really there to be consumed by the consumers, and so we don't really need a vehicle for 4K. If there were more like 4K subject matter out there, more TV, more movies, more video games in general, then there would be a reason for this. But the need hasn't really arisen. We've just started to get the ability to do this thing, but it hasn't disseminated amongst the mainstream yet. And when that need, either the need or the product hits a certain kind of critical mass, then you'll see it spread out into your average everyday people. But when PlayStation put a DVD player in everybody's house, DVDs were readily available. Like it wasn't like this brand new technology. It was one of those things where like, oh, well, I'm going to get a DVD player anyway. It's about that time. Oh, look, this one plays video games too. Fuck it. May as well. It's the same price. I think if this were a conversation we were maybe having in 5-7 years, like where everybody's kind of getting ready to retire their HD TVs for 4K TVs, then they'd be like, oh, this is a good time to do this because the Xbox is coming out. But I think that the content versus technology there's just too wide a gap right now.
Yeah, and the other thing is, by the way, I was a little slow in the uptake because I just saw this news. I'm like, Chris, you were right again, man. They're making a Legend of Zelda mobile app game. Are you guys subscribed to the Wall Street Journal? How are you reading this? I don't know. I'm not subscribed. I was able to read it just fine.
Yeah. No, I clicked on it. It opens.
Yeah.
I click on it and it opens.
No. I understand what's happening, Brett. Yep. Clear. If you have Wall Street Journal cookies, go and delete them, because if you read more than 3, it wants you to subscribe to read the full thing. Just clear the cookie and then refresh it. You should see it.
Yeah, I recently cleared out my cache. That's probably why I could see it. But anyway, I forgot what the fuck I was gonna say. Oh yeah. 4K. Okay, as we talked about, 4K adoption isn't very high, at least in America and throughout the world. So, that's why I don't think people are downplaying it. They're just stating reality. 4K is not a big thing right now. And I don't think a system is going to make that happen because, again, remember, the Xbox Scorpio is not supposed to be a mass market product. It's supposed to be only for the niche guys. Those guys already have 4K TVs, It's not going to push the average Joe to buy a $500 console and then buy a $600, $800 4K TV, So I don't think Scorpio is going to push 4K the way, the PlayStation 2 push DVDs. Remember, the PlayStation 2 was the cheapest DVD player out there. That's why it sold so well. This is going to be a really expensive 4K player. Basically, you could buy a cheaper 4K player out there. So it's not going to push it. No way. So people aren't downplaying it. They're just checking reality because a lot of Xbox fanboys are overhyping it, saying that this is going to be the next greatest thing. No, it isn't. It's just going to be a more powerful Xbox. But again, Xbox itself isn't selling as much as PlayStation, so don't expect this shit to move the needle. All right. His next statement, it's not really a question. He goes, after seeing how Square Enix did IO Interactive, it gives more evidence that Phil Spencer has a clue of how cutthroat this industry is. Activision Blizzard has several games as a service-based games that have recurring revenue streams. These streams are what allow the chances of a new IP to be made. Another case in point, GTA 5 has become a service-based game. GTA 5 alone has made Rockstar so much money they could take a chance on several new IPs from the GTA money alone that it wouldn't even hurt them. This is also why Halo 5 has become a service-based game as well. Halo 5 has generated so much revenue for Microsoft. Now when Phil Spencer goes to his bosses asking for an absurd amount of money to make Scorpio or anything else in the future, he has something to bring to the table. Even the controllers have become a service people tease Xbox about. It costs Microsoft nothing to make them, and then they could sell them at an absurd price, and they still sell pretty well at that. All right, I don't really know how to tackle this one.
Service Halo was
basically
now?
The heart of the question, at least as I understood it, is, so was Phil Spencer right that single player games aren't as impactful as these type of games, service-based games?
How are they service-based games?
When
you play When you play Grand Theft Auto, you get Grand Theft Auto. You don't.
No, you
pay
you
a service.
microtransactions and all that shit. You know.
GTA, I think they're saying they
GTA doesn't have any
Yeah,
microtransactions.
well, I don't know what the fuck
Yeah,
he's
they
talking
do.
about then.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
they
does.
do-
GTA's
But do
Online.
you use
online version does.
Do they make a lot of money off the?
Oh, yeah, they make a shit
making
ton of
the-
money.
Oh,
Brian's laughing.
Man,
No, I'm talking about the actual sales of the game. I'm not talking about.
Manny, why do you think the
Yeah,
game is
man.
still an MPD every month?
yeah.
No, I'm saying,
GTA
but I mean,
has
not because of the microtransactions. They're
Yeah.
counting they're counting aren't they counting the actual games sold?
No, it's that microtransaction.
Wait, that makes absolutely no. Then that would mean that MPDs make absolutely no sense.
No, Manny, they're making revenue off the actual game sales and then the microtransactions. They're making money from
But
two
that's not
sides.
reflected in the NPDs, is it?
No, of course
No.
not.
Yeah,
No,
so
but
I'm talking about that. So they do make quite a bit of money off of the
A lot of
the,
money.
off
Brian,
of
break
the
it down,
whatever
man.
the shark cards they're called, right?
Yeah. Okay, Manny, put it this way: they make about as much money as the game sales as they do the transactions.
All right, cool.
That's crazy stupid because GTA is still like in the top 10 MPDs since like the last like 10 years.
I mean, the thing is,
No.
that, the thing is that it goes by the mantra where it's like, customization stuff. It's like all those things that you don't have enough money. You haven't raised your level enough to buy these things yet within the game, so you can use those shark cards to kind of pay for that stuff, right?
Yeah, it's to buy stuff in the game, online cars, and
It pretty much
Yeah,
is
so
like microtransactions in any type of like.
But is
systems,
that really a service?
No, but the online
It's not a
is-
service.
Yeah, but then the online is because like they keep on updating it like every 3 to 4 months with like new content, and
But
they,
the thing is that
they keep
isn't.
giving more stuff to do each time. So,
But I mean,
Let him finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
it's like you purchase something once, which is the game, but then they keep like providing you the reason to go back again and again and again, like every like 3 to 4 months, and that's how they are providing you a service.
They're providing
well,
a service, but
it
they're
does
not
have the update.
officially. They're not really making money off of the specific service. You're not paying for any of those things. You're just
No,
paying.
No,
to
the
get-
service is free because they don't need to. Like
Mhm.
they don't need to charge for the service because they made enough
So
money
now,
as it is.
for the Halo situation, what part of that is a service?
I don't know. It depends what his question was. I didn't quite fully. read
I'm
it.
just trying to clarify exactly what these services are, because I don't.
I think that
see
they are
that.
talking about like bringing out is instead of like you buy a game once and you play it and it's done. Like you buy a game and then it keeps getting supported to the point where you want to keep playing it and you keep investing both time and money into it, whether that be money through DLC or microtransactions. But the way things are going now, it's more likely to be microtransactions as they tend to be the cheaper option in terms of development costs.
I look at the other side of this situation is Metal Gear Solid 5. That is not a successful service. Officially, that game, granted there are still players that continue to play it, and I'm sure, there's a lot of people, some people in the room who still play Metal Gear Online and forward operation basis, but you never hear anything about any of the money that they're making off of those games, off that game.
Yeah, that was a service that did not go so well.
I think services are. I think there are definitely surefire things, but I think they're also, heavy missteps.
Well, who is fapping in the background?
Sorry, I'm trying to change my microphone or my
Okay.
headphones.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that what the question is trying to say is that like Halo has made a lot of money, so like would it make sense to like move to like a more service-based thing? Because there's a time, okay, like take Destiny. Like Destiny's like microtransactions are just going like through the roof. It's like one of the highest like revenue games on PSN, like pure because of microtransactions. And I think what the guy is trying to ask is that Phil Spencer may have been onto something, as like games like this, they tend to have like not a longer lifespan, but they tend like not to burn out as fast. Like
Well, yeah,
we've all
because
seen,
as long
the
as
game
you
gets released, it tops out for like the first week or two, and then after that, the sales come crashing down with
Oh,
like
yeah.
30% drop rates, 40%, 60% drop rates. Whereas with games as a service, they tend to like crash down, but nowhere near as fast. And I think that in terms of business is a better perspective. Is that the right word? It's better looking at
a better prospect. You mean
a better prospect? Yeah, I do think that it definitely it makes more money, and I definitely think that maybe he wants to go with that sort of situation. The only problem with that is that I don't want to see the games that I like go by the wayside. I don't care about service games. I don't care. Yeah. I mean, none of these games, as much as they rope-a-dope people into getting into paying for things that would normally be unlockables in games, with the exception of Grand Theft Auto, which you can actually earn every single one of those things just by going up certain levels and killing people and taking all that stuff. But I mean, as far as other things, like the only things that you can get through these microtransactions, I don't like that sort of stuff. I mean, I like the idea of being able to, having the quick way to get your new, costume and stuff like that. But I feel like it should never be that, the only way you get these is by paying money.
No, I highly don't think that you'll get this in like single player games because they don't tend to support the mantra of having a service. Mm-hmm. Whereas like single player games tend to do so, and hence why like your GTAs, your Call of Duties, and your Destinies, like they rake in like the money through like microtransactions because like they were built to do so in the sense that everyone can join in, everyone will need something, and it makes sense. Whereas it doesn't make sense to like have like, hey, pay $20 and unlock this thing in the single player. It's like
unless you're Dead Space 3.
Unless you're Dante's Inferno.
I also want to point out a bit on the tech side that any good multiplayer game generally isn't player-to-player connection. Somebody is hosting a server somewhere, and somebody has to pay for that server that is being hosted.
And like, guess what Call of Duty is? Call of Duty is peer-to-peer.
Fucking goddamn it!
Since forever, but yet Activision were too fucking cheap to afford servers. That's why I hate it. It's like these guys rake in how many billions per year, but don't have like dedicated servers.
Even charged. Remember, it was like you went to set up your own room. There was like different rates.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the middle. I understand what they're doing, but still, fuck them.
The performance of player to player is fucking atrocious. Like, I understand there's the whole like I don't want to pay for a server, but then there's the whole like in any competitive game, like Mario Kart is apparently player to player, which is bad, and that's causing input issues for like you shoot a red shell at somebody, you see it hit them, coins pop out, but they don't slow down. Everyone's like, well, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, that's the problem with player to player. Like that's always been the problem with player to player. It's infuriating in Dark Souls too. Like anytime it's implemented poorly, and it leads to a subpar experience. So I'm perfectly happy to pay either through microtransactions or a nominal monthly fee for a game server to be up and to work correctly. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh, and I also want to throw something out there because Skype just informed me about something. I want to wish a very happy birthday to Emilio Lopez Manny.
Oh, shit.
It is technically May 15th now, so happy birthday to you. Yay.
Happy birthday.
We can't
Don't sing it. Don't sing it. Don't sing it. Don't sing it. We're going to get flagged.
Yeah, we can't sing that song.
All right, man. Let's move on here, man. We got two more questions here. Okay. NPC Hero. He goes, what publisher or developers have lost their goodwill for you? For me, it has to be Ubisoft. They seem to ruin games. Not only that, whenever they show a game, by the time that game is released, it never looks like what they originally promised. Watch Dogs 2 was an excellent game. However, I think they are going to screw up the next Assassin's Creed game. What are your thoughts? Adam, I'm looking at you, man, because you've been enjoying that Wildlands.
Yeah. Can I just comment something like very quickly before Adam goes off? All game studios have a bad habit of doing that. I recently went back and looked at some early footage of Mass Effect Andromeda, thanks to Yongye, and it looked a lot better back then than it does now. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, it does.
it's
Yeah,
like
BioWare
wow,
is
this
another
game
company
is
that-
like they like reversed engineered it for like the older console for some odd reason. It's like the old footage looks like the new console stuff. Was like the builds that we have now is like for like the old consoles. Like
that's
how did that happen?
hilarious.
Like they went back in time when they're making the game. It's weird. But yeah, all of them do it. It's not just Ubisoft, but still, fuck Ubisoft for doing it.
But yeah, Adam, so what company have you lost faith in?
Company that I've lost faith in. Damn.
If you need time, come back to you,
Yeah,
man.
come back to me.
All right, hey Brett, what about you, man?
You know what's funny is 6 months ago I would have said Nintendo.
Yeah. And see, Brett, by the way, I would love, like, for time travel to be real, so you could argue with old Brett just to see what would happen. Like,
That would be a throwdown.
yeah, that would be insane.
You're a liar and you're full of shit. But I'd say BioWare is up there. Like, I used to approach BioWare games with an unabashed love inspired out of the KOTOR series, and over time that has been solidly tempered to the point where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I hear good things about Andromeda. I'm in no real rush to play it. I'm sure it's a good game and it's just fine, but over time BioWare has just, I don't know, they've worn on me. They're not as they're I'm just gonna say it. They're not as good as they used to be. They may still be making decent games, but they are not the heavy hitters that they used to be. Especially as somebody for a fan of, strategy games or fantasy games or any of that kind of thing. Like BioWare used to be the storytelling master, and they've since kind of fallen from that perch, if you ask me.
I don't blame you, man. That's a good answer, actually. BioWare, they've fallen off badly, man. I can't say they're mine, but that's a good answer. Here's the thing. I have an answer, but they may change it as soon as I play a Nier Automata. For me, it's Platinum Games, right? When they first came out, they were like the shit. Bayonetta, Vanquish. I'm like, this is the golden fucking developer, right? Then when they announced Metal Gear Revengeance, I'm like, oh, this game's gonna be the fucking shit too, just based off of that. Such a shitty fucking game that made me lose all like interest in the studio. And then they start putting all their games on the fucking Wii U. I'm like, come on, man, what is this bullshit? Then I heard they made some bullshit like Ninja Turtles and fucking Legend of Korra. I'm like, yeah, you guys fell off bad, but apparently Nier Automata has redeemed them. But yeah, definitely, for good 3 years now, Platinum Games was the one that was like the golden child and just went so low, if I think of a better answer, though, I
would have said, you're right. I probably would have said Ubisoft, but I mean, you liked Watch Dogs too.
I did like Ubisoft. I don't have a problem with Ubisoft, man. They've never like disappointed me crazily like that,
And that's the same thing. I've never really been like Syndicate. I really liked Syndicate.
The original Watch Dogs didn't offend me, like
that game offended me.
Did you forget about Unity?
I didn't play it.
Unity.
You know why I didn't play Red?
That was broken. That was broken.
Oh, they didn't disappoint you, but you still can't not count that game.
Yeah, but they're not the studio that disappointed me the most. Understand?
Yeah, no, they didn't.
I haven't lost faith in Ubisoft. I haven't lost faith in you. Watch Dogs 2 was the shit, and I'm hyped for the new Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. Tough. It's a tough one. I'm trying to think one that really let me. I mean, besides BioWare, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, BioWare's a good answer, man.
The only one.
There's one that is clear for me, but they're kind of redeeming themselves, and that's fucking Capcom, man. Capcom has thrown so many fucking turds at us, like the whole fucking Street Fighter V fiasco, man. That game they threw at us so incomplete. Like it didn't come with all the features that it needed to have, like stuff that's been on fucking Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and stuff like that, like and Street Fighter 4 and like features that are necessary to like enjoy the game more. I mean, Resident Evil, they redeemed themselves with 7, so that's hopefully they continue that trend.
Carlos, man, you're right about that. I really loved Resident Evil 7, and I'm playing a Capcom game right now, which admittedly is an old game, but it's made me like the Switch. I'm like, Capcom, you keep this up. You're doing a good job here. You're doing good now.
Yeah, because think about it too. Like Devil May Cry 4 was not that good. And
booty
then
butt cheeks, booty butt cheeks.
they
Fuck that game, man.
they did a remake and it was good.
Oh,
So it's
DMC, ooh, beautiful game.
so I guess like they're good at disappointing us and then getting us in our good graces.
Yeah,
So
we'll see what happens when Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite comes out.
Oh.
I liked what I played, but I only played 20 minutes, actually about an hour. So we'll see. You know,
I don't have any faith in that game, and I really don't like personally. I don't like the style of that game.
Yeah.
I think it's ugly.
Yeah. Manny, did you go already? Studio disappointed you? Okay, go ahead.
I would still go with Mr. Konami.
Oh yeah, Konami. That's an obvious one.
It's again. I'm gonna tell you this. Konami was my ultimate favorite of the old school companies, like the old school game creation companies. That and Capcom. Those were like the superstars. Yeah. When you got a Capcom game or a Konami game, you knew you were getting something pretty good. You know, like, you know, we're talking Soki-Den, we're talking a lot of their shit, and it's just as of late, you know, and I'm gonna say this from the Lords of Shadow time, you know, even maybe before that with a lot of the Castlevania Judgment, you know, the stupid fighting game, they've just been falling lower and lower because it seems like they've forgotten how to make good games again, and the only last vestige of that was Kojima, who had the biggest falling out of any of those developers over there. And I feel like they really need to find themselves again as a developer, you know, find the fan base, find all of that stuff, try to essentially make earn everybody's respect back. And I always feel that. And that's the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can I throw in a runner-up?
Sure.
Team Ninja.
Oh, explain.
Team Ninja gave us the first few Dead or Alives and Ninja Gaiden, and then were responsible for Metroid Other M.
Oh shit!
Oh, man.
And Hyrule Warriors.
Oh,
sorry, Riku. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
But Riku isn't sweating that because I'm looking at him on PSN right now. He's playing Neo, that was developed by Team Ninja. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they may have redeemed themselves with Neo. You know,
I haven't heard much about Neo.
Yeah, you have, Brett. It's the Dark Souls clone, man. Everyone's telling you to play. Are you kidding me, Brett? The
Samurai Souls.
Samurai Souls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember hearing something about that. I totally went off my radar.
Well, you know, you may want to pick that up because it's right up your alley.
If it's any good.
Well, apparently it's good. I don't know.
There is a demo, but the demo is not so good.
Yeah, I remember playing the demo and not being super impressed.
The demo fucking sucked, you know. Brian.
I am having issues trying to think of one, to be honest. So I'll go with Capcom for the lack of Deep Down, because ever since I seen that game, I was like, this game looks nice. I am waiting for it. I'm still waiting for it. Like, I am that guy who see a video game shown once, and I'll be like, I'll wait on it until it's either told that it's been cancelled or is coming out. I'm still waiting for the Agent. Like, every E3, I'm like, Agent, come on, Agent. Okay, cool. Next one. Like, the Agent is my last Guardian.
Wait, the Rockstar?
You saw was a logo.
Yeah.
Oh, but there was more info regarding Last Guardian as opposed to the Agent. I mean, we haven't really heard much in years.
We've heard nothing. We just have a screenshot and Rockstar, and that's it.
That's it. That's all we got. It's like 1970s. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
They just keep renewing the domain name and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Carlos, man.
I already went.
Okay, right. So Chris is the only one. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I thought it was, for me, it's obvious, Konami.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, the steps they've taken, the anti-consumerism, how they treated their developers and creators, just awful. Not even about the game. I don't even care about Metal Gear Survive or whatever. It's how they treated those people and Kojima. Disgraceful.
Yeah, definitely. Fuck Konami, man. All right. The last question here, Daniel J. We're finally he keeps asking me, Tony, when you gonna answer my question? It's like, dude, we answer these as we get them. All right. This is an interesting one too, Chris. This is for you. He goes, if Chris was to teach an economics class, what is the 3 most important principles that he would teach?
Jeez, well, I'm not qualified to teach an economics class. Like, I know I tell you guys about finance, but I learn stuff as I go along, as I'm doing the research. I never sat in a formal economics. Ironically, though, I did work for the Department of Economics at my university when I was attending, but I was a computer science major, you know. But you know, it's there's a difference between like the theory of economics and, you know, understanding capitalism and all those terms, but when you talk about business and finance, there's like they're two different things. It's like theory and application. So I mean, if you want to talk about finances and whatever, I mean, the three most important things if you're going to run a business is like know your product, know your audience, and everybody from the top down needs to be competent.
Hey, Chris, can I mention something that you might think would be a principle?
Yeah.
That trickle down economics does not work.
Oh yeah, as an economic theory, no, it doesn't work. It's not, because there's another thing that in finance, in application, is called the velocity of money. So it's that's the flow of money. Like you can think of it like a convection oven. Like if you know, people are like in the classes, like you work and you get money, right? But you buy goods and services, you buy food and gas and all this stuff. All that money then goes to the corporations that provide it, and then the money flows up. But then they're expected to reinvest that money, and then it flows, and that's called the velocity of money. If you do trickle down economics, then when the money goes up to the top and they offshore it and whatever, then the velocity of money slows down. So trickle down economics completely clashes with the capitalistic principle of velocity of money. That's why it doesn't work.
Interesting. All right. So that's gonna pretty much do it here. There were some other things I want to cover, but the show just ran on too fucking long, so I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, I do want to say this real quick. You guys out there, if you want to start asking us shit about E3, now's the time to do it. We're getting closer. Now you can start asking us shit. Motherfuckers are trying to ask us shit in February. It's like a little too early there, guys. You know? And then of course, you know, we're gonna have our E3 prediction show. Let me give you the date here. You know, Throwdown. That's a great thing about Throwdown. We're always on fucking time. Thursday, June 8th is when we're going to have our pre-E3 special. So, you know, we're going to give our predictions, all that. You know, as usual, we wait almost to the last minute because we want to be as factual as possible. A lot of guys out there like to do podcasts where they give wild speculation. We don't like to do that shit. We want to be as precise as possible, you know. Yeah. And we don't have a perfect track record, but we have a pretty decent track record with our predictions. So we want to keep that up, you know. Again, these guys doing these fucking podcasts in April, their E3 predictions. What the fuck is wrong with them, you know? So we're gonna wait till then.
We want a little bit of that time to kind of read the tea leaves of what of the directions that a lot of these guys are going to go, because a lot of these guys leave little clues and things. They start leaving little clues and things right before the show happens. Yeah, exactly. And whatever prediction you may have made, it gets completely thrown out the window, you know, because of leaks or whatever. So that's why we want to wait till the last minute, and it's worked out pretty well for us. So we're going to do that again this year. And again, as we get closer to E3, we're going to let you know our itinerary, because Manny and I are going to be out there. So, you know, we're going to do some shit out there live, but then the Sunday of E3, not the Sunday after E3, the Sunday of E3, there won't be any Throwdown Your Questions. But again, we'll explain all that shit as we get closer. So it's here. Thank you for watching. And what's up, Brett?
I forgot to mention, I don't even think I've told this to Tony yet. Next week, I will be gone the entirety of the week. Tattoo convention starts late Thursday night with setup, and runs through Sunday. So I won't be on the next two podcasts, but I will be back.
Brett, you got to pimp this now, man. Where are you going to be, man?
Tell us where you're.
I'm going to be at the Kansas City Tattoo Expo at Crown Center from the 19th to 21st, and I'll be competing in competitions on Saturday and Sunday.
All right, so if you guys are going to that convention, hit up Brett. That'll be fucking awesome, you know? All right, so yeah, thank you for letting me know too. But yeah, if you guys are out there at Kansas City, man, hit up Brett, go to the convention. It'll be pretty awesome. All right, so thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or on the Coalition. We'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight shown by Emilio Lopez.
And now 37-year-old Emilio Lopez.
Woo!
Can't you see me aging right in front of you like Dorian Gray? Later, guys.
Chris Seeley,
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
First of all, happy birthday to Manny.
Thank you.
Second, and we've talked about this past, so I don't know how this has slipped, but the happy birthday song is a public domain now, so we can sing it however like in any platform we like. So
Okay, good. Brian Manjoma.
Yeah, I'm still confused about Alien Covenant. I just didn't like it that much.
Oh man, I was afraid of that. I was afraid of that. After Prometheus, I'm like, I don't know about that movie, man. Brett Murdoch.
So, Manny, you were around the day that they first smelted iron. Was that a big day?
Let's just say there's some video game series there are actually I'm about as old as.
Oh man. By the way, Manny and I are the same age, so you know,
Yeah.
we're old man.
We're all getting up there.
Chris is older than all of us. Chris, we won't say his age though, you know.
Chris is like Gandalf.
Yeah, exactly. He's older than 300, but younger than 5.
But he's always looked like this. Chris
Yeah.
Chris was formed looking like Chris. He has not aged a day since his conception.
Oh man. And Mr. Adam Vale.
What's up? Goodbye. Have a good night.
You sound defeated, man. You all right, man?
Yeah, I'm just tired.
All right, people. We'll see you next time. Later.
Deuces.
Dude.
peace.
Later, guys.